Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 808. The double-winged snow eagle was also shocked. He originally thought that this person's strength would not be very strong, but he did not expect that he was actually on par with it. Tisk, after the old man in black stabilized his body, he stared at the double-winged snow eagle and laughed sinisterly. He even stuck out his tongue and licked the blood at the corner of his mouth. Shwa! Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he flew up into the sky and stood in front of the double-winged snow eagle. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior, it was just a misunderstanding. Please show mercy." The double-winged snow eagle raised his eyebrows and sent a sound transmission. "What do you mean by that? Are you afraid of him?" "I'm not afraid of him. I just have a lot of questions to ask him." Qin Feiyang thought. This person must be very familiar with this place, so he wanted this person to answer the doubts in his heart. At the same time, seeing Qin Feiyang appear, the old man in black's eyes flashed with a strange light, and said, "This old man doesn't think that this is a misunderstanding." Yo-ho! The double-winged snow eagle let out a strange cry. Qin Feiyang also frowned, reached out his hand to stop the irritable double-winged snow eagle, looked at the old man in black and laughed. "Senior, we just met by chance. There is no enmity between us. There is really no need to make a fuss." Then he added, "Moreover, you were the one at fault in the first place." The old man in black's face suddenly became angry. He pointed at the double-winged snow eagle and said angrily, "It sneaked an attack on me, and you still say that I'm in the wrong? It was my idea to sneak an attack on you. But I'm also very curious. Why is Senior following us so sneakily?" Qin Feiyang said. The old man in black said confidently, "A stranger suddenly appeared. Of course this old man had to investigate. That's a very good reason." Qin Feiyang nodded his head very seriously, and then said, "Then let me ask Senior, if it was you and you found out that someone was following you, would you find an opportunity to fight back?" "Yes." The old man in black nodded. "That's right. You followed us, we fought back. This is human nature. What's there to care about?" Qin Feiyang said. "That does seem to make sense." The black-robed old man pondered. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Then what do you think? Should we?" The old man thought for a moment and said, "If you want this old man to forgive your foolish actions, it's not impossible. This temper of mine, is it not over yet?" Without waiting for the old man in black to finish his words, the dual-winged snow eagle flapped its wings and charged forward ferociously. "Calm down." Qin Feiyang pulled it back, looked at the black-clothed old man, and said with a smile, "Senior, what do you want?" "Longevity pill." The old man in black said. "As expected." Qin Feiyang mumbled. This person's lifespan was nearing its end, and only the life prolongation pill could extend his life. However, there was one thing that he could not figure out. The life prolongation pill was precious, but to a battle saint, it didn't seem to be much, right? Why ask him for it? "I have life prolongation pills. But Senior has to answer a few of my questions before I can give it to you." Qin Feiyang said. "You have it?" The old man in black was overjoyed, and nodded repeatedly. Good, quickly ask." Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is this place?" The old man in black was stunned, and said in surprise, "You don't know?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Tsk. The old man in black was speechless, and looked at the man and the eagle with a strange expression. He didn't even know where this place was, and yet he dared to come in, as if a newborn calf was not afraid of a tiger. This place is not an ordinary place. This place is called the Black Dragon Glacier, a famous forbidden area in Forgotten Continent. The old man in black said. "Black Dragon Glacier?" Qin Feiyang and the dual-winged snow eagle looked at each other, and there was a trace of suspicion in their eyes. "Let me put it this way. Even if a 9-star battle saint enters this place, it would be difficult to walk out alive. The old man in black joked. Is that so? Qin Feiyang looked around suspiciously. There wasn't even a living creature. How could there be danger? Moreover, they didn't encounter any danger along the way. But looking at the old man's expression, it didn't seem like he was joking. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Senior, please enlighten me. It is said that a long time ago, a black dragon flew from the sky and fell here. It is said that this black dragon was a god, its body was as big as a mountain, and its eyes were like the moon. However, when it fell here, it was already seriously injured, and finally died here. Rumor has it that this black glacier was formed from its body. Because of this, the later generations named it the Black Dragon Glacier." The old man in black explained. God. The man and the eagle looked at each other. This was too unbelievable, wasn't it? The old man in black looked at them and said, "This is only a very old legend. Whether it is true or not, there is no way to verify, but there is one thing that I am sure of." "What?" Qin Feiyang asked. The old man in black grinned and said, "You will be trapped here forever, just like me." Qin Feiyang frowned. He didn't expect the pagoda master to be so vicious as to give him such a coordinate. "What do we do now?" The double-winged snow eagle looked at Qin Feiyang worriedly and asked. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't panic, there is always a way." "There is no way. The Black Dragon Glacier is shrouded by a mysterious force. You can only go in, but not out, unless," the old man in black said. "Unless what?" The double-winged snow eagle perked up and looked at him expectantly. The old man in black grinned and said, "Unless a god descends." "Damn, are you kidding me?" The double-winged snow eagle said angrily. It didn't dare to say it before, but in this world, how could there be a god? The old man in black asked, "I am curious, how did you get in?" "We were plotted against." The double-winged snow eagle said angrily. "Plotted against?" The old man in black was stunned, then he shook his head and sneered, "Then you are really stupid. Do you want to die?" The double-winged snow eagle was already very angry, and the old man in black's words were like adding fuel to the fire. The old man in black said disdainfully, "Hee hee, you want to kill me? You don't have the ability." "Don't have the ability?" The double-winged snow eagle was so angry that it laughed and said, Come, I will show you what is really awesome." "That's enough, will you die if you stop talking?" Qin Feiyang stared at it, then he looked at the old man in black and said, "Senior, don't mind it, it is just like that." The old man in black said, "It is not good to have this kind of character. If you don't discipline it, it will bring you disaster sooner or later." "You are right, Senior." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Then Senior, if you know that the Black Dragon Glacier is so dangerous, why did you come in?" Hearing this, the old man in black looked angry and said, "This is also related to a damn legend." "What legend?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Some people said that before the Black Dragon died, it left behind a lifetime of inheritance. As long as you can get its inheritance, you will definitely become a god in the future. I took the risk to enter the Black Dragon Glacier for this legend. But when I came in, not only did I not find the so-called inheritance, I was also trapped here and could not get out. It is all because of greed." The old man in black sighed. "You believe such a ridiculous rumor, saying that we are stupid. I think you are even more stupid than us. No, you don't have a brain at all." The double-winged snow eagle took the opportunity to start taunting. But unexpectedly, the old man in black not only did not get angry, but also nodded in agreement. His old face was also full of regret. Qin Feiyang also sympathized with this person. It was not worth it to put oneself in such a desperate situation for a fleeting legend. However, was it really a legend? There is a saying, there is no smoke without fire. There must be a reason for the birth of this legend. Qin Feiyang asked, "Have you looked everywhere?" "Yes." The old man in black nodded, thought for a while and said, "But there is one place that I have not been to." "What place?" Qin Feiyang asked. "In the center of the Black Dragon Glacier, there is a giant peak filled with a mysterious force. Once people get close, there will be a drastic change. The old man in black said, as if he thought of something. His face was full of horror. What drastic change? Qin Feiyang was surprised. The old man in black said, it deprives the life of living things, making them grow old step by step until they finally die. What? Qin Feiyang and the double-winged snow eagle were both shocked. The double-winged snow eagle asked, is your current appearance related to that place? Yes. The old man in black nodded, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, when I first came here, although I was not as young as you, I was still in the prime of my life. But when I went to climb that giant peak, in less than 100 breaths, almost all of my life was taken away, making me look like this. I hate it. The old man in black cried. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled, and said, then when did you come in? Half a year ago. The old man in black said. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang muttered. The old man in black did not have a prolongation pill, which finally explained. A man in the prime of his life, and a battle saint, living for 10,000 years was not a problem. How could he carry a prolongation pill with him? Perhaps before entering the Black Dragon Glacier, he did not even think about this problem. Therefore, it was normal that he did not have a prolongation pill. Sigh. The old man in black sighed deeply, and said, I can clearly feel that I have a few more hours to live, so little brother, I beg you, no matter what, give me a prolongation pill. The more he spoke, the more painful he was. In the end, he knelt in the void, and begged Qin Feiyang. Senior, you can't do this, please get up. Qin Feiyang hurried to help the old man in black. But just as he stretched out his hand, the old man in black's eyes suddenly burst out with a cold light. That aged hand was like a demonic claw that wanted to take Qin Feiyang's life as it reached for his heart. On his old face, there was an extremely cruel smile. You, Qin Feiyang was startled and angry at the same time. He disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The old man in black turned pale with fright. Where did he go? The old man in black's sudden sneak attack was completely unexpected by the double-winged snow eagle. But when it came back to its senses, that pair of sharp eagle eyes burst out with a bone-piercing killing intent. Old bastard, you're dead today. With a roar, the heavenly thunder sword appeared, and the holy power rolled in all directions. Clang! Immediately after, accompanied by a deafening sound, the heavenly thunder sword cut through the sky, carrying a world-destroying sharpness, and furiously slashed towards the old man in black. What? This is a sacred artifact. Looking at the flashing heavenly thunder sword, the old man in black's body trembled, and hurriedly turned and ran. Swish! It was also at this time. Qin Feiyang appeared again, and his face was extremely gloomy. If it were not for the ancient castle, this time he would definitely die in the hands of this old man. Chapter 809. He looked at the dual-winged snow eagle and said, Don't let him run away. Don't worry, he won't be able to run away. The dual-winged snow eagle smiled confidently. Its light wings appeared and it flew away like lightning. The old man in black also had an auxiliary battle art, but it was only a superior one. It couldn't compare to the dual-winged snow eagle. In a few blinks of an eye, the dual-winged snow eagle stood in front of the old man in black and sneered, Still want to run? Clang! At the same time, Qin Feiyang also stepped forward, grabbed the heavenly thunder sword and stood behind the old man in black. Oh my God, I forgot to put away the heavenly thunder sword. Seeing this, the dual-winged snow eagle was a little angry. Qin Feiyang ignored it and looked at the old man in black. His eyes were extremely cold. Do you know what happened to those who schemed against me? The old man in black trembled and hurriedly begged, I was wrong, please let me go. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Tell me immediately, where is this place? Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. This is the Black Dragon Glacier, I didn't lie to you. Yes, I do want to kill you and steal your Chinkuan bag, but what I said to you before is true. I can swear, if there is even half a lie, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. The old man in black shouted anxiously. Qin Feiyang said, Why did you steal my Chinkuan bag? Just because of the prolonging life pill? The old man in black stammered, his face full of panic. Speak. Qin Feiyang shouted coldly. Okay, I'll speak. The prolonging life pill is only one of the reasons why I stole your Chinkuan bag. Most importantly, I need the battle chi pill. Because I have to break through quickly. Only by breaking through can my lifespan increase. Otherwise, even if I take the prolonging life pill, it can only alleviate the current situation. In the end, I will still die. The old man in black said. I see. Qin Feiyang muttered. For a person who was about to die, breaking through was actually the key. Because every time he broke through a small realm, his lifespan would double. Prolonging life pill, although it could extend one's lifespan, there was a limit. For example, a prolonging life pill could only extend 200 years of life. Once the time was up, he would still die. And 200 years, to an ordinary person's lifespan. But for the old to the old to war to the old man in black. Sometimes, to Chinkuan bag tea. Similarly, to qt to realm. Compt t to realm to break t tut. The black-clothed old man definitely did not have the confidence to break through to the next level after taking the prolongation pill, so he had the idea of snatching the battle chi pill. This was because absorbing the energy of the battle chi pill was several times faster than absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. Qin Feiyang asked, Don't you have battle chi pills? The black-clothed old man nodded and said, Yes, but how would I know that I would be trapped to death here? To. You can tell me. I'll definitely give you some. Why do you have to use such an extreme method? Qin Feiyang sighed, feeling a little regretful. The old man in black was startled, and said, The battle chi pill is so precious, will you give it to me? Precious? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He didn't even know how many battle chi pills he had. What was so precious about them? But then. He laughed bitterly. Battle chi pills were indeed nothing to him. But on the market, the price of battle chi pills was ridiculously high. Because anyone who stepped into the War King needed battle chi pills. How many people in this world had stepped into the War King? It was impossible to count. Although there were people who specially cultivated the medicinal ingredients for the battle chi pill, it still required time. This was the reason why there were too many monks and too little porridge. Naturally, the battle chi pill became extremely precious in the eyes of the world. But the most important thing was that the Black Dragon Glacier was isolated from the outside world, so it was impossible to buy battle chi pills. Thus, the battle chi pill became even more precious. But even so, he couldn't forgive this old man in black. He could make a mistake, but he could only make it once. This person had followed him before, and after being discovered by him, not only did he not apologize in the slightest, he even took the opportunity to ask for the prolonging life pill. Fine, isn't it just a prolonging life pill? It doesn't matter. Here. Moreover, he even treated him with courtesy and respectfully called him senior. Wasn't this already considered as being extremely benevolent? But this old man in black didn't know what was good for him, and actually wanted to kill him. Even a sneak attack. This was something he couldn't accept. Who? Taking a deep breath, Qin Feiyang looked at the old man in black expressionlessly and said, Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want us to do it? The old man in black's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, Don't, little brother, let's talk, looks like we need to do it. Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with killing intent as he nodded to the double-winged snow eagle. Heh. The double-winged snow eagle laughed coldly and flew towards the old man in black. I beg you, please let me go. And look at this, there's no one here, there's no point in killing me. The old man in black said in horror. If it was just Qin Feiyang and the double-winged snow eagle, he would still dare to fight. But the other party had a sacred artifact in hand, so he really didn't have the courage to fight. Moreover, even if he did, the other party could completely disappear without a trace like just now. In other words, he had no chance of winning at all. Qin Feiyang's face was cold and he remained silent. The old man in black really couldn't find a reason, and was left with a heart full of fear. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, "How about this, I'll be your subordinate. You might not know, but my cultivation level at my peak was an 8-star battle saint. I can definitely help you." 8-star battle saint. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He knew that this person's peak strength was definitely not just a 1-star battle saint, but he didn't expect him to be an 8-star battle saint. He was only 2 steps away from a battle emperor. Frankly speaking, he was tempted. Now, the enemies he encountered were getting stronger and stronger. And because of those rumors, he was already the public enemy of the Forgotten Continent. At this time, if he had an 8-star battle saint by his side, it would save him a lot of trouble. As for this black dragon glacier, he didn't plan to stay here forever. The double-winged snow eagle was getting closer and closer, its ferocious aura was threatening. The old man in black was anxious and angry at this moment. To think that he was an 8-star battle saint, no matter where he went, he was an existence that people looked up to. But at this moment, he was actually wagging his tail and begging for pity in front of a 7-star battle saint. How sad. Heavens, what did I do wrong for you to treat me like this? The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He couldn't help but roar, madly venting the grievances in his heart. Qin Feiyang still didn't speak. He looked at the old man in black, his eyes flickering. Just as the double-winged snow eagle was about to attack, he stretched out his hand and said, "Wait." The double-winged snow eagle was stunned and suspiciously asked, "You really plan to let him go?" At the same time, the old man in black seemed to have seen a glimmer of hope as he stared fixedly at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang glanced at the double-winged snow eagle and said with a faint smile, "An 8-star battle saint is crying and begging to follow me, how can I refuse?" Despicable. The double-winged snow eagle rolled its eyes in disdain. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the old man in black, saying, "I can spare your life, but the condition is that I want you to cripple your cultivation." Cripple my cultivation? The old man in black's face instantly turned pale. If he lost his cultivation, then what was the point of living? He might as well die. The double-winged snow eagle was also confused. This guy, what the hell is he planning? Qin Feiyang said, "Cripple or not, answer me." The old man in black said in a low voice, "Are you serious?" Qin Feiyang said, "Do I look like I'm joking?" The old man in black clenched his fists and roared, "I'd rather die than lose my cultivation. If you continue to force me, then I'll fight you to the death. You have a backbone." Qin Feiyang nodded with satisfaction and said, "What if I just make you lose your cultivation temporarily?" Temporarily? The old man in black opened his eyes and said, "What do you want, can you just say it?" Qin Feiyang said, "You don't have the right to ask questions now, just say yes or no." The old man in black was in a dilemma. If it was just a temporary loss of cultivation, he could accept it. However, he was afraid that Qin Feiyang would play tricks on him. "I remember you said that you only have a few hours to live, so I won't kill you. You can stay here and slowly wait for your death. Let's go." Qin Feiyang said and turned to leave. Knowing that you're about to die, but unable to do anything, you can only wait for your death. This is much more painful than dying directly. Just wait for your death. The double-winged snow eagle laughed mockingly and flapped its wings, chasing after Qin Feiyang. The old man in black was trembling both physically and mentally. Of course, he knew this. Because before Qin Feiyang and the double-winged snow eagle came, he had already experienced this feeling. It was also because of this that when he saw Qin Feiyang and the double-winged snow eagle, he felt like he saw his savior and followed them all the way, looking for a good opportunity to kill them. But he never thought that Qin Feiyang would notice. He also did not expect that this man and eagle had a divine weapon. Not only did they not get the Cosmos bag, but they also fell to this point. It was ridiculous to think about it. Hey, you can't do this, give the heavenly thunder sword back to me. Shame on you, it's obviously mine. Tisk, it's mine when it's in my hands. You're the most shameless eagle I've ever seen. So? I'm shameless, bite me. Fine, I'll give it to you. The old man in black heard this conversation from afar. He looked up at Qin Feiyang's back, his eyes full of disbelief. He always thought that the heavenly thunder sword belonged to the double-winged snow eagle, but it turned out to be Qin Feiyang's. He was even willing to give the divine weapon to the double-winged snow eagle. Wasn't this a bit too generous? Or could it be that the divine weapon was nothing in this man's eyes? If that was the case, then his identity. Thinking of this, the old man in black's body trembled, his eyes bursting with a strong light. That was hope, joy. If this man really had a big background, then maybe there was a chance to leave this damn place. Wait. He did not hesitate and shouted at Qin Feiyang, if it's only temporary, I'm willing to destroy my cultivation. Hearing this. Chapter 8:10. The two-winged snow eagle looked at him in confusion and asked, What are you doing? Qin Feiyang said, Enslavement seal. Enslavement seal? I've heard from Fatso and the others that the enslavement seal is only effective on those who are weaker than you. Those who are stronger than you will suffer from the backlash, right? The two-winged snow eagle said. That's right. That's why I forced him to destroy his cultivation. Because as long as the enslavement seal is completed, even if he regains the cultivation of an 8-star battle saint, he will still be under my control. On the contrary, if he still has his cultivation, I will suffer from the backlash. Qin Feiyang said. So that's how it is. The two-winged snow eagle suddenly understood and said, But there's no need to go through so much trouble. With our methods, it's easy to destroy his cultivation. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, We have to convince him with virtue. The two-winged snow eagle was stunned and then rolled its eyes. Convince him with virtue? How shameless of him. Whoosh. The old man in black flew behind Qin Feiyang and pleaded, Please, help me. Qin Feiyang turned around and smiled, When you destroy your cultivation, I'll definitely help you. I hope you can keep your promise. The old man in black gritted his teeth and slapped his lower abdomen, immediately spitting out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, with a cracking sound, his sea of qi also shattered. With his qi sea shattered, he lost his cultivation. At this moment, he was equivalent to an ordinary person without any aura. Congratulations, your trick worked. The two-winged snow eagle laughed secretly, but with a hint of disdain. Qin Feiyang didn't mind at all. A wave of aura emerged and supported the old man in black. Because he had lost his cultivation, the old man in black couldn't stand in the void. Immediately, he formed a seal with both hands and a trace of obscure aura spread out from his hands. Not long after. Buzz! A ray of light appeared and a mark the size of a baby's palm appeared. Open your mind, don't resist. After saying this to the old man in black, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the mark turned into a ray of light and flew into the old man's head. The old man in black immediately screamed in pain, his face distorted. He only felt that his head was about to explode. The pain coming from his sea of consciousness made him wish he was dead. Look, Qin Feiyang over there. Suddenly, a loud roar. There's someone else? Qin Feiyang was startled and looked towards the source of the sound. Immediately, he saw 3 black-robed old men in the air above a distant icy mountain. Their auras were unfathomable, and behind the three men, there were three men. Monty were all dressed in gorgeous robes and stood proudly in the sky. Their gazes were extremely cold. And the aura they emitted was even stronger than the three old men. Who are they? The Snow Eagle. Qin Feiyang sneered, to be able to recognize me at a glance. Who else do you think? The Snow Eagle said, you mean, they are from the 3rd district? Qin Feiyang nodded. That's not right. The Snow Eagle shook its head. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at it suspiciously. Have you forgotten? The guard commander told us that other than the city lord and the tower master, the strongest in the 3rd district are the Black Lion, Red Smoke, and Songhai tribe's leaders and high priest. They are all 1-star battle saints. But those 3 middle-aged men are 2-star battle saints, and those 3 old men are 1-star battle saints. This is the first point of suspicion. The second point of suspicion, where is this place? This is the Black Dragon Glacier, a famous forbidden area in the Forgotten Continent. The Tower Master of the 3rd District must know this, otherwise he would not have tricked us here. Since he knows, then there is no need for him to send people to kill us. Anyway, we will be trapped here until we die. The two-winged snow eagle analyzed. His analysis was reasonable. Makes sense. Qin Feiyang nodded. But if they are not from the 3rd district, then which district are they from? Whoosh. The 6 people pierced through the sky and rushed toward Qin Feiyang like lightning, their bodies full of murderous intent. Humph. The Snow Eagle snorted and flapped its wings, blocking in front of Qin Feiyang, and shouted, Who are you? We are here to kill you. One of the old men said coldly. Without waiting for any further explanation, he waved his hand, causing his battle aura to surge out as a huge black sword appeared in front of him. This was a battle art. The other 5 people also performed their battle arts. Boom! Streaks of terrifying aura instantly spread out in all directions with this place as the center. Crack! Boom! Before the battle even started, a large part of the glacier had already collapsed. I think you guys are going to heaven. The Snow Eagle's eyes turned cold and instantly activated the Goshawk Overlord body. Its whole body was blood red and its aura was doubled. However, the 6 people were not surprised and did not panic at all. It was as if they already knew that the Snow Eagle had mastered perfect battle arts. Die! Following their shouts, the 6 great battle arts charged towards the double-winged Snow Eagle with terrifying sharpness. You are the ones who are going to die. The Snow Eagle was furious. A wave of blood-red battle chi rushed out of its body and rushed toward the 6 battle arts. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the 6 battle arts and battle chi collided with each other like comets colliding. A wave of destructive chi spread out in all directions, covering the sky and covering the earth. Accompanied by loud noises, the land within a radius of 10 miles was razed to the ground. It was a scene of devastation. Puff! At the same time, the Snow Eagle spat out a mouthful of blood. Its huge body was blown away and it was in a sorry state. Among the 6 people, only the 3 old men were seriously injured. Although their cultivation level was similar to the Snow Eagle, the Snow Eagle had mastered perfect battle arts. Naturally, its combat power was higher than theirs. However, the 3 middle-aged men were not hurt at all. They were all 2-star battle saints and had mastered superior battle arts. Their individual combat power was enough to compete with the Snow Eagle, not to mention the 3 of them working together. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened. Although the 6 people's cultivation level was not as high as the Tower Master and the City Lord of the 3rd District, they outnumbered them. The most important thing was that the 6 people seemed to know everything about them. Back then, when they faced the leaders of the 3 tribes and the City Lord and the Tower Master in Tianyang City, they were able to win not because of their strength but because of their tactics and strategies. But now, the 6 people knew them well. Tactics and strategies were useless and they could only face them head-on. If there were only the three old men, they would not be afraid of facing them head-on. They could even kill them. But the three middle-aged men were too strong. With the help of the three old men, even if they took out the Sky Thunder Sword and Ice Blade, they would not be able to stop them. After all, Qin Feiyang and the Snow-Ed Eagle did not have the ability to revive these two sacred artifacts. However, now, Qin Feiyang had an even more terrifying trump card in his hands. In the blink of an eye. When the Snow-Ed Eagle was sent flying, the slave seal was completed. Qin Feiyang could clearly feel that the fate of the old man in black was now under his control. Swoosh! He took out a spirit sea pill and threw it to the old man in black. This is actually 4 elixir veins. The old man in black caught the spirit sea pill, his eyes filled with shock. Don't dawdle. Quickly repair your Qi Si. We are still waiting for you. Qin Feiyang urged. This spirit sea pill was refined by him in the past. If the old man in black knew that he could refine elixir veins now, wouldn't he be even more shocked? Okay. The old man in black quivered and quickly put the spirit sea pill into his mouth. This was still not enough. Qin Feiyang took out his flame of life. This was because it would take some time to repair the Qi Si. Although the spirit sea pill had 4 elixir veins and its effect was multiplied, in the current situation, the sooner the better. The flame of life's recovery ability was even more terrifying than the spirit sea pill. When the two were combined, the recovery time would undoubtedly be shortened. Of course. During this period of time, the old man in black had to be delayed by the Snow-Ed Eagle. Clang! After stabilizing its huge body, it decisively took out the Sky Thunder Sword. The terrifying sharpness could topple mountains and overturn seas. One of the middle-aged men had a trace of ridicule in his eyes. He said to the 3 old men, "We'll go and stall that bastard. You guys go and kill that old bastard, then take care of Qin Feiyang." The 3 old men nodded. Whoosh! The 6 of them moved out almost at the same time. They split into 2 groups and charged toward the Snow-Ed Eagle and Qin Feiyang. This was because they had already guessed that the old man in black might be a big shot. If they waited for his Qi Si to be repaired, he might betray them. The Snow-Ed Eagle's eyes darkened. It sent a message to Qin Feiyang, "I can only deal with the 3 of them. As for the 3 old dogs, you have to find a way to deal with them yourself." Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Swoosh! The Snow-Ed Eagle immediately activated its fighting soul and charged toward the 3 middle-aged men. Clang! Rumble! A bloody battle began. The 3 men and the Snow-Ed Eagle fought crazily in the sky. For a moment, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The void shook. However, the 3 middle-aged men did not clash with the Sky Thunder Sword. They only tangled with the Snow-Ed Eagle. This was because they did not dare to. Although the Sky Thunder Sword could only unleash 1/10 of its original power, it was still very hard. It was also very sharp. It was not an exaggeration to say that even an 8-star battle saint would be at a disadvantage if they clashed with the Sky Thunder Sword, not to mention a 2-star battle saint. However, if the 3 of them did not clash head-on, the Snow-Ed Eagle could not do anything to them. This was because the 3 of them also had auxiliary combat arts. Although they were only superior, their cultivation level was 1 level higher than the Snow-Ed Eagle. Therefore, their speed was on par with the Snow-Ed Eagle that had activated its fighting soul. Of course, if there was only one of them, the Snow-Ed Eagle would definitely be able to crush him with the Sky Thunder Sword. Unfortunately, there were 3 of them working together. In short, the 3 of them were on par with the Snow-Ed Eagle. No one could do anything to the other. Below, Qin Feiyang did not hesitate to stand in front of the old man in black. He looked at the 3 aggressive old men. One of the old men sneered, "You think you can protect him?" "Yes, I can. Qin Feiyang nodded his head. The three of them did not hide their ridicule. Qin Feiyang was not moved at all. He said calmly, I have a hiding treasure. I can bring them to hide first. But do you know why I don't do that? A hiding treasure. Chapter 8:11. Because there's no need. It's also because you don't have the ability to kill me. Of course, if you're willing to turn back now, I can consider letting you go. Qin Feiyang said. No ability? This old man has never seen someone as arrogant as you in his entire life. Young man, although you do have some ability, it's best to be humble. The three of them sneered. Qin Feiyang shrugged his shoulders, and said, I'm that arrogant, so what? Actually, what he did had nothing to do with arrogance. He wanted to influence the old man in black. Although the old man in black did not dare to betray him due to the restriction of the slave seal, there would always be a barrier and he would not be able to truly unite with everyone. So, he wanted to use this method to prove his sincerity and make the old man in black follow him wholeheartedly. There's a price to pay for being arrogant. The three old men's eyes turned cold as they raised their arms at the same time. Battle chi surged on their fingertips, emitting a shocking aura. Clang! At the same time, accompanied by a deafening sound, the ice blade appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. The holy might surged, shaking all directions. One of the old men laughed sinisterly, even if you have a sacred artifact, you won't be able to stop us. Die! 3 streaks of dazzling battle chi shot out from the fingertips of the 3 men. Like 3 giant pythons, they bared their fangs and roared towards Qin Feiyang. Go! Qin Feiyang bellowed as the ice blade pierced through the air and collided with the 3 streaks of battle chi at lightning speed. With a clang, the 3 streaks of battle chi instantly disintegrated and the 3 of them spat out a mouthful of blood. Although it had not recovered, just this tenth of its power was enough to contend against the 3 of them. After all, these 3 people were not as strong as the 3 middle-aged men. They were only 1-star battle sect. But at the same time, the ice blade was also sent flying, but it was not damaged in the slightest. On the other hand, Qin Feiyang was indirectly injured. Blood flowed out of his mouth and his body trembled violently. But he didn't even frown. With a thought, the ice blade paused in the air and then turned back, once again charging towards the 3 of them. Quickly evolve the battle art. Only battle arts can contend against that saint artifact. One of the old men shouted. The other 2 nodded. Boom! The 3 of them waved their hands, and terrifying auras rolled out crazily. Qin Feiyang's face also showed a trace of seriousness. The difference between using battle arts and not using battle arts was too great. Without using any battle arts, the 3 of them were just ordinary 1-star battle saints. The ice blades were more than enough to kill them. However, once they used their battle arts, they would be able to display the strength of a 4-star battle saint. This was no joke. In just the blink of an eye, the 3 great battle arts appeared out of thin air, surging waves of energy. Under the impact of the shockwave, Qin Feiyang was like a small boat, teetering on the verge of collapse. Looking at Qin Feiyang's situation, the ridicule in the eyes of the 3 old men became even more intense. Die! The 3 of them roared. 3 great battle arts swept across the sky and blasted toward the ice blade. Clang! The ice blade's sharpness was unparalleled, and it actually destroyed a battle art. But at the same time, the ice blade was once again sent flying. Qin Feiyang spat out blood, and his body trembled violently. Even the skin all over his body cracked, and his battle blood splattered. In an instant, he became a bloody man. He did not hesitate to use the battle art. Moreover, every cell in his body was releasing a majestic life energy, repairing his damaged body. This was the energy of the fire of life. His life was saved, but the crisis was not over. This was because the other 2 great battle arts were still intact, and they were madly attacking him. The lethality of the two great battle arts was comparable to a 4-star battle saint's full force attack. This was no joke. If he was affected, even if he had merged with the fire of life, even if he had the battle art to protect his body, he would not be able to escape death. He glanced at the two battle arts, and his eyes were rather gloomy. Suddenly, a trace of madness crept onto his face. With a slight change of thought, the ice blade that flew back like lightning, and slashed toward one of the battle arts. Boom! An earth-shattering sound suddenly exploded between heaven and earth. The previous situation happened again. The battle art turned into ashes. The ice blade, like a meteor, pierced through the air. And Qin Feiyang's injuries had undoubtedly worsened again. It was simply one disaster after another. Don't you have a treasure to hide in? Quickly hide in it, don't worry about me. Looking at Qin Feiyang's bloody back, the old man in black could not help but feel hot in his eyes as he roared. In fact, he also noticed that Qin Feiyang was deliberately doing this for him to see. To put it bluntly, it was acting. But even if it was acting, how could he not be moved when he saw a person standing in front of him regardless of life and death? He was not cold-hearted. However, Qin Feiyang did not seem to hear him, and did not retreat at all. He once again controlled the ice blade and slashed toward the third battle art. At the same time, he waved his hand, and the old man in black, along with the fire of life, quickly landed on a mountain peak below. The old man in black had not recovered his cultivation. Without his help, he would not be able to stand in the air. And this collision, he had a feeling that it would not bode well for him, so he had to let the old man in black have a foothold first. Boom! The next moment, the ice blade and the battle art collided with a loud bang, like a sudden clap of thunder, shaking all directions. Puff! Qin Feiyang spat out blood. Like a meteorite, he flew out horizontally, smashing one mountain peak after another, and finally crashed into a mountain range in the distance. With a loud bang, the mountain range collapsed, drowning him. At the same time, the ice blade also sank into the ground, causing widespread destruction. It's obviously just an act. Why did he have to fight so hard? Is he stupid? Looking at this scene, the old man in black, standing on the mountain peak below, could not help but show a painful expression. He's not stupid, he just wants you to see his attitude clearly. Do you know what that cluster of flames is? It's the legendary fire of life. He's even willing to give you the fire of life. Don't you understand his intentions? The double-winged snow eagle fought and sighed. Attitude, fire of life, the old man in black murmured, stretched out his hand, and the fire of life fell into his palm. Looking at the fire of life, his eyes were extremely complicated. The three old men, with a smug smile on their faces, swooped down, and charged towards the old man in black. But the old man in black did not seem to notice, and did not move. Seeing this, the double-winged snow eagle was shocked, and shouted, "Why aren't you running? Do you want to die?" However, the old man in black still did not move. One is more stupid than the other. How did this emperor meet this group of idiots? The double-winged snow eagle was extremely angry. Suddenly, a surge of battle chi poured into the heavenly thunder sword, instantly erasing Qin Feiyang's blood contract. Immediately after, it spat a mouthful of blood on the heavenly thunder sword, and the heavenly thunder sword immediately emitted a bloody light. But soon, the bloody light dimmed, but at the same time, the heavenly thunder sword's holy aura soared. What? You actually dare to revive the sacred artifact? Are you courting death? The three middle-aged men's expressions changed. The three old men, who were charging towards the old man in black, also stopped in the void, their faces full of shock. A one-star battle saint reviving a sacred artifact was simply digging his own grave. Do you think this emperor wants to? But meeting this group of idiots, what can this emperor do? I can only risk my life. The double-winged snow eagle said unhappily. Although it was a little unhappy, there was no fear in its expression. One of the middle-aged men roared, "You are simply a group of lunatics." "Thank you for the compliment." The double-winged snow eagle laughed, the battle chi and blood chi in its body surged crazily, rushing towards the heavenly thunder sword. Don't be fooled by its frivolous appearance, in fact, it was really reviving the heavenly thunder sword. Before this, although the heavenly thunder sword had been occupied by the double-winged snow eagle, the blood contract inside still belonged to Qin Feiyang. If it was not revived, as long as one had a certain level of strength, anyone could play with it. But to revive it, it must be the real owner of the heavenly thunder sword. So, it erased Qin Feiyang's blood contract. At this moment, the old man in black finally reacted, lifting his head to look at the double-winged snow eagle. For the sake of their companions, it did not matter even if they had to sacrifice their lives. What kind of people were they? One must know. This world was very cruel. No matter how good the relationship was, it could not withstand a single blow in the face of benefits. It was really rare to see such a relationship where life and death would not leave each other. So, he felt that it was a little unreal. This snow eagle was also acting? But, who would joke about their own life? Obviously not. The old man in black was moved. Swoosh. He retracted his gaze, staring at the flame of life, and kept roaring in his heart, "Hurry, hurry, hurry, or it will be too late." At the same time, the heavenly thunder sword was shining brighter and brighter. The sacred aura was also getting stronger and stronger. The 3 middle-aged men and the 3 old men were forced to retreat. One of the middle-aged men pointed at the old man in black, and shouted, "What are you waiting for? Go and kill that old thing." Yes. It forcefully revives the sacred artifact. It is purely digging its own grave. We don't have to care about it at all. As long as we kill that old thing, when this beast is dead, Qin Feiyang, whose life and death is unknown, is equivalent to a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. The other 2 men shouted. Heard. The 3 old men were invigorated, and once again rushed towards the old man in black. The idea is beautiful, but the reality is cruel. But at this time, the double-winged snow eagle smiled disdainfully, and also dived towards the old man in black with the heavenly thunder sword. At this moment, the sacred aura emitted by the heavenly thunder sword was comparable to that of a 5th or 6th war saint. The 3 old men did not dare to continue. They were scared out of their wits, and hurriedly ran away. Whoosh! The double-winged snow eagle landed beside the old man in black like lightning. But in the face of this terrifying sacred aura, the old man in black was not affected at all. Even the giant peak under their feet did not tremble at all. It was not because the old man in black had recovered his cultivation, nor was it because the giant peak under their feet could withstand the impact of the sacred aura, but because the double-winged snow eagle was now the true master of the heavenly thunder sword, and could control the sacred aura of the heavenly thunder sword as it wished. It looked at the old man in black, and asked, "How much longer do you need?" "About 100 breaths." The old man in black said in a deep voice. 100 breaths is too long. Looks like this time, we are going to be played to death by ourselves. The double-winged snow eagle sighed. It was no longer the case that it was reviving the heavenly thunder sword. It was the heavenly thunder sword that took the initiative to rob the blood in its body. In just a short while, it had already lost 1/3 of its blood. Therefore, the remaining 2/3 was not enough to last it 100 breaths. Don't worry, none of us will die today. But suddenly. Chapter 8:12. The double-winged snow eagle and the old man in black were stunned. They quickly ran to the edge of the cliff and looked down. They saw Qin Feiyang standing at the foot of the mountain. Although his face was pale and his body was covered in blood, his eyes were extremely sharp. Weren't you blown away? Why are you here? The double-winged snow eagle was surprised. Qin Feiyang looked at the 6 people standing in the sky and sneered, "If I flew over openly, would they let me meet up with you?" "That's true. The man and the eagle nodded. The main goal of these 6 people coming to the Black Dragon Glacier was Qin Feiyang. If they saw that he was not dead, they would definitely think of ways to stop him. Therefore, quietly lurking here was the wisest choice. The 6 people's faces were also quite gloomy. They thought that after suffering such a severe injury, even if Qin Feiyang did not die, he would be crippled. But they did not expect that he was still alive and kicking. Could this guy be the reincarnation of a cockroach? Whoosh! Qin Feiyang jumped up and landed beside the double-winged snow eagle and the old man in black. Then, with a thought. Clang! Accompanied by a loud ear-piercing sound, a bright flowing light swept out from the ground in the distance, heading straight for Qin Feiyang. It was the ice blade. Stop it! Seeing the ice blade, the 3 middle-aged men's eyes lit up. At the same time, they shouted and rushed towards the ice blade. Right now, the thing that gave them the most headache was the Heavenly Thunder Sword. If they also had a sacred weapon, the Heavenly Thunder Sword would naturally no longer be a threat to them. So, they set their sights on the ice blade. As long as they got the ice blade, they would have the power to fight against the Heavenly Thunder Sword. Moreover, their cultivation was higher than Qin Feiyang. As long as they could get their hands on it, they could immediately erase the blood contract inside. But what they could think of, Qin Feiyang could naturally think of as well. Just as the 3 of them were about to move, Qin Feiyang's mind stirred. The ice blade turned in the air and with a boom, it once again sank into the ground. Following closely. The ice blade was like a pangolin beast, shuttling through the ground at high speed, rushing towards the giant peak where Qin Feiyang was at lightning speed. Crack! Clang! In less than 3 breaths, the ice blade flew out from the ground beneath Qin Feiyang's feet and floated in front of him. The faces of the 3 middle-aged men were immediately filled with anger. Don't worry, the best part is yet to come. Qin Feiyang sneered. The ice blade disappeared in an instant. Then, he struck out with his palm. A surge of vigorous qi and blood gushed toward the Heavenly Thunder Sword like a torrent. Meanwhile, Lu Hong and the pangolin appeared beside him. Without waiting for Qin Feiyang's instructions, they immediately channeled their qi and blood into the Heavenly Thunder Sword. What a bunch of lunatics. The 6 people looked at Qin Feiyang and his group in shock and anger. A saint weapon was an existence comparable to a 9-star battle saint. Not to mention Qin Feiyang and the others, even if there were more than 10 of them, they still wouldn't be able to revive it. Because the difference in strength was too great. Were they really not afraid of death? The old man in black stared blankly at Qin Feiyang and the others. Sharing life and death, sharing trials and tribulations. Was this the friendship between friends? No. The relationship between this group of people had far surpassed that of friends. They were family that couldn't be separated. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and repair your qi. With everyone's help, it won't be a problem to delay it for 100 breaths. The double-winged snow eagle urged. Okay. The old man in black nodded and closed his eyes to concentrate on repairing his qi. An old man above mocked, not a problem? I think it's a big problem. It's none of your business. The double-winged snow eagle said angrily. Yes. What does it have to do with us if you want to die? Actually, this is good. It saves us the trouble of doing it. The old man crossed his arms and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others gloatingly. The 5 people beside him also sneered. The double-winged snow eagle raised his eyebrows and said, Qin Feiyang, let's go to the castle. The Sky Thunder Sword is no longer under our control. It's useless to go to the castle. Qin Feiyang shook his head and looked at the 6 people. He frowned and said, Who are you? Right, I forgot to introduce myself. The old man patted his head and pointed at the 3 middle-aged men. He said, These 3 have a big background. Listen, they are the leaders of the 3 super tribes in the 4th area. The 4th area. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. He looked at the 3 people and said, I have no grudge with you. Why are you attacking me? You have no grudge with us. But we have no choice. This is the Tower Master's order. We have to obey. One of the middle-aged men sneered. Which Tower Master? The Tower Master of the 3rd area? Or the Tower Master of the 4th area? Qin Feiyang frowned. The middle-aged man said, of course, the Tower Master of the 4th area. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He looked at the 3 old men and said, what about you? Us. Do you remember the Crimson Smoke tribe, the Black Lion tribe, and the Shanghai tribe? We are the high priests of these 3 tribes. You killed our leaders. This blood debt must be paid with your life. The 3 of them said coldly. I was wondering who it was. So it's the small fries of those 3 tribes. So, it was the Tower Master of the 4th area who sent you to kill me? Qin Feiyang said disdainfully. One of the old men's face sank. He said, you'd better be polite. I even dared to kill your leaders. Why should I be polite to you? But I'm curious. Don't you know how dangerous this place is? Why did you come in? Qin Feiyang said. Of course we know. But the 2 Tower Masters promised that they have a way to get us out. One of the middle-aged men smiled. The 2 Tower Masters? Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment, then he murmured, so that's how it is. It seemed that the Tower Masters of the 3rd and 4th areas had joined hands. But why was that? Kill him? But he was now trapped in the Black Dragon Glacier. As the 2-winged snow eagle said, there was no need for that. The 2 of them should have other motives. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He looked at the 6 people and said, the 2 Tower Masters only sent you to kill me? What else could it be? The 6 people sneered. I understand. Qin Feiyang whispered. What do you understand? Lu Hong asked in a low voice. Qin Feiyang said, these 6 people are just cannon fodder. You mean, the Tower Masters of the 3rd and 4th areas might come to the Black Dragon Glacier? Lu Hong was surprised. Qin Feiyang said, if they really have other plans, they will definitely come. But I really can't guess what they want. Lu Hong pondered for a moment and said, could it be that they want our sacred artifacts? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He thought for a moment and said, don't say it, it's really possible. The 2-winged snow eagle said, no matter what, these 2 people must die. Qin Feiyang, Lu Hong, and the pangolin all nodded. Time passed breath by breath. 80 breaths. Qin Feiyang and the others had lost more than half of their qi and blood. All of them were as thin as firewood, and their eyes were lifeless. The heavenly thunder sword was like a scorching sun, shining brightly, and the sacred aura it emitted was getting more and more terrifying. Lu Hong said, there are still 20 breaths left. We can definitely hold on. However, before she finished speaking, the 2 people and 2 beasts' expressions changed. The heavenly thunder sword seemed to have suddenly gone crazy, crazily absorbing their qi and blood. What's going on? The pangolin was surprised. The closer it is to the end, the more qi and blood it needs to revive the sacred artifacts. I'm afraid we can't hold on for the remaining 20 breaths. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Then what should we do? The double-winged snow eagle panicked. It dared to revive the sacred artifacts, but it did not mean that it was not afraid of death. If only Fatso and Wolf King were here, they could help. The pangolin sighed. Another 10 breaths passed. No, I can't hold on anymore. Lu Hong murmured. Her long black hair had turned snow-white, and her originally delicate skin was now full of wrinkles. Her clear eyes were also turbid, like a lamp that had run out of oil. Qin Feiyang, the double-winged snow eagle, and the pangolin were not much better off. Their life auras were rapidly declining. There was not much chi and blood left in their bodies. Did you see that? We don't even need to do anything. They will be sucked dry by the sacred artifacts and die. The three middle-aged men sneered. But what about that old thing? Qin Feiyang placed his hopes on him. His strength is definitely not weak. The three high priests were a little nervous. When they came, the old man in black had already destroyed his cultivation. So they knew nothing about the true cultivation of the old man in black. He must be very strong, but there is no need to worry. Yes, I don't believe that he is still a 9-star battle saint. The three middle-aged men were full of disdain. Hearing this, the three high priests finally breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a middle-aged man frowned and said, "But there is one thing that makes me a little puzzled." "What?" Several people looked at him in surprise. The middle-aged man said, "Didn't the pagoda master of the 3rd district say that there is an unfathomable old woman in black by Qin Feiyang's side? Why didn't I see her? I also heard about it, but it seems that after snatching the heavenly sun flame, this old woman has not appeared again." The high priest of the Black Lion tribe said. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "It doesn't matter, as long as we can kill Qin Feiyang. As for the rest, the 2 pagoda masters will deal with it." The other 2 middle-aged men and the 3 high priests all nodded repeatedly. There was also a bright smile on their faces. During the conversation, another 10 breaths passed. Not to mention Lu Hong, even Qin Feiyang could not hold on. Their consciousness was fading away. And if their consciousness was gone, it was equivalent to being completely dead. Is it not done yet? The dual-winged snow eagle was extremely anxious. It felt that the aura of death had already enveloped it. Swish! Before his voice faded, the old man in black suddenly opened his eyes, 2 rays of light bursting out, and said, "I said it will only take 100 breaths, and it will only take 100 breaths. Quickly help." The dual-winged snow eagle was overjoyed and roared. Chapter 8:13. The black-clothed old man's voice was transmitted into Qin Feiyang's mind, exploding like thunder. Immediately, a trace of light appeared in his consciousness that had fallen into darkness, and he quickly woke up. "Are you done?" After waking up, Qin Feiyang was extremely weak. Looking at the black-clothed old man who was injecting blood into the Sky Thunder sword, his eyes were somewhat confused. The black-clothed old man secretly said, "Yes, quickly give me the prolongation pill, or else I won't be able to recover my peak cultivation. Wait for me." Qin Feiyang's spirit was lifted, and he hurriedly took out a 4-pattern prolongation pill from his universe. What is he doing with the prolongation pill? Seeing this, the 6 people in the sky couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise. "You're right, I'm indeed not a 9-star battle saint, but to kill you, it's more than enough." The black-clothed old man coldly glanced at the 6 people, grabbed the prolongation pill, and directly threw it into his mouth. The pill melted as soon as it entered his mouth, and a surge of majestic energy immediately rushed towards his limbs and bones. Immediately, his entire body's aura began to soar. 2-star battle saint. 3-star battle saint. 4-star battle saint. Moreover, his appearance and body were rapidly changing. His white hair gradually turned black. His emaciated body gradually filled out. His turbid eyes slowly became clear, and there was a trace of joy in them. That's right. With the extension of his lifespan, his original state returned. In less than 5 breaths, his appearance had completely changed, and it was replaced by a burly man. His figure was tall and sturdy, and the muscles all over his body were bulging like horned dragons, filled with an explosive power. And his aura had already soared to that of a 7-star battle saint. How is this possible? Could he be? The 6 people's bodies and minds trembled, and their faces were filled with fear. That's right, I am an 8-star battle saint. The black-clothed old man said. No. His current appearance could no longer be called an old man. Before his voice faded, his aura suddenly soared to that of an 8-star battle master. Boom! Saint power surged, sweeping across the sky. At this moment, his black hair was flying, and his gaze was like lightning. He was like a god of war, emitting a shocking domineering aura. 8-star battle saint. Damn bastard, he's actually an 8-star battle saint. Run! The 6 of them were dumbfounded. When they came back to their senses, they immediately turned around and fled in panic. The brawny man didn't pursue them. Instead, he stretched out his hand and attacked with all his might. He actually forcibly severed the qi and blood of Qin Feiyang and the others. The difference between an 8-star battle saint and a 9-star battle saint was only one small realm. Although there was still a huge gap, it was still possible to cut off their vitality. Without the infusion of qi and blood, the heavenly thunder sword's light and saint aura quickly dissipated. However, it was impossible to spit out the qi and blood that had been plundered. As such, the current situation of Qin Feiyang and the others was almost at the end of their rope. After the brawny man cut off their qi and blood, they lay on the ground powerlessly. Lu Hong and the pangolin fell unconscious on the spot. The burly man frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang. Are you alright? I'm fine. With the flame of life, I'll be able to recover quickly. Go capture them, but don't kill them. I want them alive. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Okay. The brawny man nodded and handed the flame of life to Qin Feiyang. Then, he leaped and turned into a stream of light, chasing after the 6 people. Qin Feiyang said, by the way, what's your name? Yen Wei. The brawny man said without looking back. Soon, he disappeared from Qin Feiyang's sight. Yen Wei, Qin Feiyang murmured. A trace of a smile gradually crept onto his aged face. It could be seen that this person had been influenced by him. All that he had done was not in vain. At the same time, with the help of the flame of life, the situation of Lu Hong, the pangolin, and the double-winged snow eagle began to gradually improve. As for Qin Feiyang, after fusing with a cluster of flame of life, he no longer needed other flames of life. He only needed to rest for a while to recover. After a while, the double-winged snow eagle could stand up alone. After all, its cultivation was higher than Qin Feiyang and the others. After getting up, it slapped the sky thunder sword with its claws and said angrily, "You bastard, do you know that you almost got us killed?" Qin Feiyang could not help but want to laugh. "And you, can't you think of a more reliable way next time? Aren't you getting us killed?" The double-winged snow eagle stared at Qin Feiyang and said angrily. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and admitted his mistake. This time, it was indeed his lack of consideration. No wonder the double-winged snow eagle scolded him. Whoosh! At this time, accompanied by the sound of something breaking through the air, Yen Wei and the 6 people landed on the peak of the mountain like lightning. At this moment, the 6 people were no longer as proud as before. Their faces were pale and full of fear. The double-winged snow eagle looked at the 6 people and lay down beside Qin Feiyang. It waved its wings and said, "You 6, come here." The 6 people shuddered and hurriedly crawled over. The double-winged snow eagle sneered and said, "You were so arrogant just now. No. How dare we compare with you? Uncle Eagle, Uncle Qin, we were wrong. Can you be magnanimous and let us go this time?" The 6 people knelt on the ground and begged in panic. "We were almost killed by you, and you want us to let you go? Are you dreaming?" The double-winged snow eagle said. "We know, it was our fault. But we were forced to do so. If we didn't listen, the 2 tower masters would definitely find a way to make things difficult for our tribe. If you want to settle the score, you should go to them." The 6 people panicked. "Don't worry, we will settle the score with them, but you won't have the chance to see it." The double-winged snow eagle sneered, and the killing intent in its eyes was undisguised. The 6 people trembled and their hearts were drowned in despair. Qin Feiyang said, "Did they say when they will take you out?" "In the morning in 3 days." One of the middle-aged men hurriedly said. 3 days? Qin Feiyang frowned, and said, "Can't you send a message?" "Immediately send a message to them and tell them that you have killed me." "You can send a message?" The 6 people were stunned. Yan Wei was also a little stunned. Qin Feiyang looked at the 6 people, then looked at Yan Wei and asked, "Can't I?" "No." Yan Wei shook his head. Qin Feiyang said, "But I tried when I first entered here. You can send a message." Yan Wei said, "You can, but you can only send a message to each other here. For example, I can send a message to you." "So, you can't send a message to the outside world?" Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Yan Wei nodded. "I see." Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, took out the image crystal, and sent a message to Fatso. Seeing this, Yan Wei asked suspiciously, "You still have companions here?" Qin Feiyang was startled, and said, "Haven't you been following us all the way? How could you not know?" Yan Wei said, "When I found you, there was only you and Shuang." Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. It turned out that this person only discovered them after they separated from Fatso and Wolf King. Qin Feiyang said, "There are 2 companions." Yan Wei asked, "How strong are they?" Qin Feiyang said, "They haven't stepped into the War Saint realm yet, about the same as me." Yan Wei's face twitched and said helplessly, "If I had known earlier, would have definitely followed them, and not you guys." Naive. Although they don't have any sacred artifacts on them, they still have treasures comparable to sacred artifacts. Moreover, they are much more ferocious than us. In your state at that time, if you went to find trouble with them, you would be courting death. The double-winged snow eagle mocked. A treasure comparable to a sacred artifact. Yan Wei froze. Why was this group of people more abnormal than the other? What's going on? At this time, Qin Feiyang's dissatisfied voice suddenly sounded. What's going on? The double-winged snow eagle was surprised. It's been so long, and Fatso still hasn't responded to me? Qin Feiyang frowned. That's not right. Fatso carries the image crystal with him, it's impossible for him not to sense it. Unless something happened to them. The double-winged snow eagle was shocked. Accident. Qin Feiyang's heart sank. He looked up at the 6 people and said, "Do you have any other companions?" "No." The 6 of them shook their heads. "No?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked at Yan Wei. "Other than us, is there anyone else here?" "No." Yan Wei shook his head. "Are you sure?" Qin Feiyang asked. Yan Wei said, "Other than the giant peak in the center, I've been to all the other places, so I'm sure there's no one else." "That's strange." Qin Feiyang frowned. Since there was no one else, why didn't Fatso respond? Suddenly, he found that the 6 people's expressions were a little strange. They were looking at each other, as if they were secretly communicating with each other. Qin Feiyang thought for a while, pointed at the 3 high priests, and said to Yan Wei, "Kill the 3 of them." "What?" The 3 of them changed color. "Don't kill us," we said. The 3 of them seemed to want to say something, but Yan Wei didn't give them a chance. With a wave of his hand, a wave of battle chi rushed out, accompanied by shrill screams. The 3 of them died on the spot. Witnessing this scene, the 3 middle-aged men were also frightened out of their wits. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 of them coldly and said, "I'll give you one last chance. Is there anyone else who came with you?" "Yes, yes, yes." The 3 of them nodded hurriedly. "Damn, how dare you lie to us?" The double-winged snow eagle was furious. Qin Feiyang was also very angry, and said in a low voice, "Who?" One of them said, "They are the same as us, the leaders of the big tribes in the 4th district." "Them? So, there are more than 1 or 2. Qin Feiyang's eyes became more and more terrifying. Yes, yes, yes. There are a total of 18 people, all of them are one-star battle saints. When we came in, we didn't know where you were, so we divided into 4 groups and searched in 4 directions. The 3 of them said. Damn, so many people came, you really think highly of us. The double-winged snow eagle was dumbfounded. The 6 people in front of them, together with the 18 people, made a total of 24 people. Among them, 3 were 2-star battle saints and 21 were 1-star battle saints. This lineup was too terrifying. The double-winged snow eagle looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Looks like you guessed right, these 2 pagoda masters have other intentions, otherwise they wouldn't have sent so many people to kill us." Qin Feiyang nodded and tried to send a message to Fatso and Wolf King, but there was still no response. His eyes darkened, and he decisively put away the image crystal. He stood up and looked at the double-winged snow eagle. "You go to the ancient castle to rest, and take care of Lu Hong and the pangolin." "Okay." The double-winged snow eagle nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the double-winged snow eagle, the pangolin, Lu Hong, and the flame of life disappeared without a trace. Ancient castle? Yan Wei's face was full of suspicion when he saw this. Qin Feiyang said, "I'll tell you more about the ancient castle later, first take me to my 2 companions." "Okay." Yan Wei nodded, and then pointed at the 3 middle-aged men and asked, "What about them?" "Keep them for now. If my 2 companions meet with misfortune, they won't be able to die even if they want to." Qin Feiyang paused after every word, and his eyes flashed with a terrifying light. Hearing this, the 3 men collapsed, their faces as pale as paper, and their hearts were filled with despair. Because they knew. No matter what the result was, Qin Feiyang would not let them go. Yan Wei looked at Qin Feiyang deeply. Although this young man was kind to the people around him, he could be cold-blooded and merciless to his enemies. He was not to be trifled with. "Which direction?" Yan Wei asked. "West." Qin Feiyang said. Whoosh. Chapter 8:14. As an 8-star battle saint, Yan Wei's speed was naturally much faster than Qin Feiyang's. In less than 200 breaths, the group returned to the place where Qin Feiyang had first appeared. Qin Feiyang scanned the area below and said in a deep voice, "This is the rendezvous point we agreed on in advance." Yan Wei sensed carefully and shook his head. "No one, they shouldn't have come back." "Continue." Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold as he said. Whoosh. With Yan Wei around, Qin Feiyang didn't have to worry about anything. He only needed to find traces of Fatso and Wolf King. Similarly, with the help of the fire of life, he didn't need to recover his qi and blood at all. In just 200 breaths, he had already recovered 1/3 of his qi and blood that had been plundered. His old appearance was also gradually becoming younger. Wait! After about 100 breaths, Qin Feiyang suddenly stretched out his hand and shouted. Yan Wei slammed on the brakes and stopped in the void. Qin Feiyang scanned the area below and his eyes darkened bit by bit. The glacier below was broken and in a mess. And the traces of battle were all brand new. It was enough to show that there had been a battle here not long ago. There was also a tragic atmosphere in the void. Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and sensed carefully for a moment. Then, he suddenly opened his eyes and a fierce light burst out. There were still obvious traces of battle in this place. And there were traces of Fatso and Wolf King's aura. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 3 middle-aged men and said to Yan Wei, "Follow the traces of battle and search." Understood. Yan Wei nodded. As the 4 of them continued their search, the remnants of the battle became more and more intense. "Is it them?" A moment later, Yan Wei suddenly pointed forward and said. Qin Feiyang raised his head to look. Immediately, he saw 6 indistinct figures in the void before him. But the distance was too far. With his eyesight, he couldn't see clearly. However, the three middle-aged men were all two-star battle saints and could clearly see them. Hearing Yan Wei's words, one of them glanced at the backs of the 6 people and nodded. It's them. Yan Wei's speed was far faster than the 6 people. When the middle-aged man answered, the distance had closed by a large margin. This time, Qin Feiyang could also clearly see them. From the back, he could see that they were 6 middle-aged men. Their auras were very strong, and they had different degrees of injuries on their bodies. In front of the 6 people, there were 2 figures frantically fleeing. It was a man and a wolf. Both of them were drenched in blood and looked extremely miserable. That's right. They were Fatso and Wolf King, damn it. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists, and his eyes were filled with an astonishing killing intent. When the 3 middle-aged men saw the killing intent in Qin Feiyang's eyes, they couldn't help but shiver. But suddenly, Yan Wei frowned. His gaze went past Wolf King and Fatso and looked further ahead. He saw a giant mountain standing on the ground. That giant mountain towered into the clouds. It was completely black. From afar, it looked like a terrifying ferocious beast was lurking there, emitting a heart-palpitating aura. And Fatso and Wolf King were not far from that giant mountain. Quickly make them stop. Yan Wei hurriedly shouted. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Yan Wei said in a deep voice, do you see that giant mountain? That's the strange giant mountain I told you about. What? Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He raised his head and looked at the giant mountain. His pupils constricted tightly. If it was before, he might still have a skeptical attitude. But now, Yan Wei was following him. It was impossible for him to lie to him. Fatso, white-eyed wolf, quickly avoid that giant mountain. He suddenly roared. His voice was as loud as a bell, resounding in all directions. Boss! Little Qin Zi. Fatso and Wolf King, who were running away, heard Qin Feiyang's voice. Their eyes were filled with ecstasy. At the same time, the 6 people who were chasing Fatso and Wolf King also stopped and turned to look at Qin Feiyang in surprise. These 6 people were from the 4th area. They had only seen Qin Feiyang's shadow. They had never seen him in person. So at this moment, when they saw Qin Feiyang in person, they were a little surprised. Because the illusory figure they saw was a very handsome young man. But now, the person who appeared in front of them was an old man with white hair. If it weren't for the fact that his face was very similar, they would never believe that the person in front of them was Qin Feiyang. But what surprised them the most was why the 3 middle-aged men were with Qin Feiyang. And they were all injured. Swish! Yan Wei led a few people over the heads of the 6 people like lightning and landed in front of Fatso and Wolf King. Qin Feiyang asked with concern, how are you guys? Wait. Don't ask us first. Tell us what happened to you first. Fatso and Wolf King were surprised. Qin Feiyang's current appearance really scared them. Qin Feiyang sighed, it's a long story. I'll tell you later. Fatso pointed to Yan Wei and the 3 middle-aged men and said, then who are they? His name is Yan Wei. He's one of us. As for these 3, they're the same as them. They're here to kill us. Qin Feiyang briefly introduced Yan Wei, then turned to look at the 6 people in front of him, his eyes shining with a cold light. One of us? Fatso and Wolf King looked at each other. Why didn't they know that there was such a person on their side? What the hell is going on? At the same time, the 6 people looked at Qin Feiyang and Yan Wei, then looked at the 3 middle-aged men and asked. The 3 of them felt bitter in their hearts and really didn't know what to say. They are now my prisoners. The high priests of the Black Lion, Red Smoke, and Songhai tribes have also died. Qin Feiyang said. Impossible. With their strength, even if you have a saint weapon, you won't be their match. Tell me honestly, did you take the initiative to submit to Qin Feiyang? The 6 people shouted at the 3 middle-aged men. Don't slander us. Look at us now. Do we look like we took the initiative to submit to him? The 3 of them were furious. They were already full of grievances, but they didn't expect to be doubted by their companions. This was too much. If that's the case, then you really, the 6 people murmured, their faces still filled with disbelief. 3 2-star battle saints and 3 1-star battle saints were actually annihilated? This was really hard for them to accept. Let's go. However, when the 6 people came to their senses, they immediately turned around and fled in panic. Don't run, it's useless. Because this Yan Wei is an 8-star battle saint. This time, we'll all die. The 3 middle-aged men sighed helplessly. 8-star battle saint. Hearing this, the 6 people's faces instantly turned pale. No wonder they were completely annihilated. It turned out that Qin Feiyang had such a terrifying expert hiding by his side. But didn't the Tower Master say that Qin Feiyang only had an old woman by his side? Moreover, that old woman had already disappeared. How did this burly man jump out? Fatso and Wolf King were also surprised. 8-star battle saint. Where did Qin Feiyang find such a terrifying guy? Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and nodded at Yan Wei. Yan Wei understood, and his saintly might roared out. Without any suspense, the 6 of them were immediately confined in the void. Wolf King's pupils shrank. He moved closer to Qin Feiyang and whispered, "Little Qin Zi, who is he? Is he reliable?" "Very reliable." Qin Feiyang smiled. Yan Wei glanced at Wolf King, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "How should we deal with them?" Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. Suddenly, he turned around and looked at the giant mountain. His eyes flashed and he said, "I want to see how strange that giant mountain is." Understood. Yan Wei didn't say much, but his methods were extremely terrifying. With a gentle wave of his hand, the 6 people fell uncontrollably in front of the giant mountain. Qin Feiyang and the others also fell behind the 6 people and looked up at the giant mountain. The giant mountain was about 50,000 feet high. There were no flowers or trees. It was completely bare. But at the foot of the mountain in front of them, there was a black stone staircase. It was modeled like a giant python, winding all the way to the top of the mountain. "Go up!" Yan Wei shouted. The 6 people looked at each other in surprise. What they knew about the Black Dragon Glacier was that it was very dangerous. And they knew nothing about the hidden danger of this giant mountain. Therefore, now they were very puzzled. Why didn't Qin Feiyang kill them directly, but let them climb this giant mountain? "As long as you can successfully reach the top of the mountain, I will let you go," Qin Feiyang said. Really? The 6 people were overjoyed. Although this giant mountain seemed mysterious, they didn't sense any danger. So in their opinion, this was a hope. "I always keep my word," Qin Feiyang said. Hearing that, the 3 middle-aged men next to him looked at each other, and also looked at Qin Feiyang, and asked, "Can we also give it a try?" "Sure." Qin Feiyang nodded. So straightforward? The 3 of them were stunned and couldn't help but glance at the giant mountain suspiciously. Could it be that there was some mystery hidden in this giant mountain? But they also knew that they had no other choice now. If they didn't go, they would definitely die in the end. If they went, they might be able to fight for a way out. Phew. The 3 of them took a deep breath, strode to the front of the stone stairs, and went up one after another. The 6 people also followed closely behind them and stepped on the stone stairs. 1 step. 3 steps. 7 steps. Soon, the 9 people stepped on the 10th step, but there was no life taken as Yan Wei said. "What's going on?" Qin Feiyang turned to look at Yan Wei, his eyes full of confusion. "Don't worry." Yan Wei only said this sentence, and then fell silent, but looking at the backs of the 9 people, his eyes were flickering. After a few more steps, the three middle-aged men finally breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that there was no danger. Immediately, the three of them turned their heads at the same time, coldly glanced at Qin Feiyang, and then rushed to the top of the mountain at full speed. Just as the 9 people stepped on the 20th step, Yan Wei's eyes flashed, and said, "Pay attention to their appearance." Qin Feiyang looked at Yan Wei suspiciously, raised his head and carefully observed the 9 people. "I say, can you stop keeping us in suspense? Can't you just say it?" Wolf King and Fatso glared at the two of them angrily, completely not understanding what the two of them were talking about. "It's here." Chapter 8:15. Just as Yan Wei spoke, Qin Feiyang seemed to have noticed something and his eyes trembled. What appeared? Fatso and Wolf King were surprised and looked at the 9 people, but they didn't find anything strange. Qin Feiyang said, "Look at their hair." Hair? Fatso and Wolf King were stunned. Their eyes turned and landed on the 9 people's hair, and their pupils suddenly shrank. The 9 people's hair was originally black, but at this moment, there were actually strands of white hair. Wolf King asked, "What's wrong with them?" "Their lifespan is being robbed by the giant mountain." Yan Wei said. "What? Their lifespan is being robbed?" One man and one wolf turned pale with fright. What the hell is this giant mountain? It can actually rob the lifespan of living beings? The 9 people all had their backs facing them, so they could only see the changes in their hair. As for the changes in their faces, they still didn't know. But they could imagine that they must be gradually aging at this moment. And the 9 people didn't seem to notice this phenomenon. But soon, the person walking at the back noticed the change in the hair of the person in front. That person was shocked and asked, "Brother He, why did your hair turn white?" "What turned white?" The person in front was stunned and turned to look at the person behind suspiciously. And just as they turned their heads, their expressions froze. Because they both saw each other's faces. Qin Feiyang and the others also saw the face of the person in front. That person was a burly man. Originally, his forehead was full and his face was round, but now there was a layer of dry wrinkles. What's going on? The two of them were surprised. After being said by the two of them, the others also noticed the changes in their bodies. Without a doubt, the 9 people fell into panic. They couldn't understand why such a thing would happen. "There's something strange here, we can't continue to go up, quickly retreat," one of them shouted. Boom! But before he finished speaking, Yan Wei raised his arm and pointed his index finger in the air. A stream of battle chi gushed out and turned into a stream of light, directly entering the back of that person's head. Ah! Accompanied by a shrill scream, the man fell to the ground and died on the spot. His body rolled down the stone stairs like a rubber ball. Seeing this, the other 8 people's faces changed drastically as they looked at Yan Wei, their eyes filled with fear. "Continue," Yan Wei said coldly. The 8 of them quivered and hurriedly turned around. With hearts full of despair, they ran towards the mountain peak. They were very scared. However, they had no choice but to continue. They also regretted it. Even his intestines were green with regret. If he had been more rational back then, he would not have come to the Black Dragon Glacier and ended up in such a state. If they were given another choice, they would rather offend the pagoda master than provoke Qin Feiyang. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Everyone, don't give up. We still have a chance. As long as we reach the peak in one go, we'll definitely be fine. A middle-aged man who was running at the front roared. However, even he himself didn't dare to believe these words. Furthermore, the faster they moved, the faster they aged. In less than 5 breaths, the 8 of them already had wrinkles all over their faces, and their hair had all turned snow white. Their originally robust bodies were now only skin and bones. Even their cultivation base was falling step by step. 10 breaths passed. The 8 of them couldn't run anymore. They were panting and had no strength left. His cultivation base had already fallen to the War Master level, as if he was about to die. Qin Feiyang, you bastard, I curse you to die a horrible death. You demon, sooner or later you will be buried with us. They lay on the stone stairs, staring at Qin Feiyang with hatred. With their last breath, they roared crazily. Not long later, the 8 of them were like lamps that had run out of oil. Their lives had come to an end as they fell to the ground and died. Yan Wei also finally retracted his gaze, looked at Qin Feiyang, and asked, "How do you feel?" "Very scary." Qin Feiyang swallowed his saliva, his clothes drenched in cold sweat. "Why is this happening?" Wolf King and Fatso looked at Yan Wei suspiciously. "I don't know either." Yan Wei shook his head. After pondering for a while, he said again, "But what I'm sure of is that there must be something on the peak of the mountain. Brother, fly up and take a look." Wolf King leaped up and flew towards the sky. Although this giant mountain could take away one's life, as long as one did not get close to it, it would be fine. Yan Wei said, "Don't waste your energy, you can't see anything." Of course, Wolf King would not listen. He flew to the same height as the mountain peak and looked at it. However, there seemed to be a mysterious veil covering the mountain peak, blocking its line of sight. Qin Feiyang and Fatso also flew into the sky one after another. They stood beside Wolf King and scanned the mountain peak. The feeling the mountain peak gave them was like looking at flowers in the fog. It was extremely strange. In the past 6 months, I've been here countless times, but I've never been able to see the scenery on the mountain peak clearly. Yan Wei also flew up and stood beside them, looking at the mountain peak. Wolf King and Fatso glanced at Yan Wei, then looked at the mountain peak again. There was a trace of desire in their eyes, but more than that, there was fear. Qin Feiyang glanced at the man and the wolf, then lowered his head and fell into deep thought. How could he not know the thoughts of Fatso and Wolf King? Frankly speaking, he also wanted to go up and see what was there. But what should he do to prevent his life from being taken away? Looking at the expressions of the 2 men and the wolf, Yan Wei frowned and said, "I advise you to give up, because you are not qualified to set foot in this place." "I know." Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. "There are still some small fish jumping around. I'll have to trouble you to deal with them all." Yan Wei nodded, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared without a trace. Wolf King was stunned and asked suspiciously, "Little Qin Zi, why is he so obedient to you?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and explained what happened before in detail. "Damn! You actually dared to forcefully revive the Heavenly Thunder Sword. Aren't you guys too bold?" After listening, Fatso and Wolf King were stunned. They never thought that Qin Feiyang and the others would experience so many changes during the time they were separated. You can only reap what you sow. Look now, with an 8-star battle saint guarding us, who dares to provoke us? Qin Feiyang laughed. Hee, it's really not a loss. Fatso laughed mischievously. The Wolf King gazed at the mountain peak, his brows tightly knitted together. What are you thinking about? Qin Feiyang asked. Wolf King said, I'm thinking, could the thing on the mountain peak have something to do with the black dragon? Fatso's face twitched, and he said, Are you stupid? The black dragon is just a legend. Wolf King said, although it is a legend, it is not necessarily false. Yes, legends are also true. Qin Feiyang nodded. Fatso was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang and Wolf King speechlessly, shook his head and said, You are all obsessed. Wolf King ignored him and looked at Qin Feiyang. We must find a way to go up and take a look. I thought about it just now, but there is no way to go up. Qin Feiyang said. Chang Shui, the ancient castle, and Mu Tianyang's ribs can't do it? Wolf King frowned. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, We have to try to know. In fact, he felt that the ancient castle and Chang Shui should be able to do it. Until now, he still remembered that it was Chang Shui who saved him when he was blocked by the holy monkey in the canyon below the ruins. Furthermore, he was able to travel through the void and enter the dark passage directly into the dark room with the flames of life. Similarly, last time, the mysterious madam used the slave seal to forcibly enslave him. It was also the ancient castle that saved him and helped him master the cultivation method and the method to break the slave seal. Although the ancient castle and Chang Shui only helped him once, it was enough to prove that these two things were extraordinary. However, whether it was the ancient castle or Chang Shui, they were not under his control. He had no choice at all. In short, whether the ancient castle and Chang Shui would help him or not was not up to him. As for Mu Tianyang's ribs, it was really hard to say. After all, he didn't know anything about Mu Tianyang's strength. Don't you feel that something is wrong? Suddenly, Fatso glanced at the giant peak and said suspiciously, "What's wrong?" Wolf King was surprised. The Black Dragon Glacier is a famous forbidden area on the Forgotten Continent. Many people must know about the inheritance left behind by the Black Dragon. Since they know, then even if the legend has not been confirmed, many people will take the risk to come and look for it. As long as they come in, they will definitely find this place. And when they come, they will die. But why is there not a single skeleton here? Fatso said. That's right. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looked at each other, their eyes full of surprise. If Fatso didn't mention it, they really wouldn't have noticed this. Wolf King glanced at the giant peak and suddenly locked onto a certain place, exclaiming, "Look at the corpses of those 9 people." Qin Feiyang and Wolf King lowered their heads to look, and their faces suddenly changed. They saw that the 9 corpses were turning black bit by bit, until finally, it was as if they were soaked in ink. How could such a strange change happen? The 2 men and 1 wolf were shocked to the extreme. But immediately after, an even more shocking scene happened. The 9 corpses suddenly emitted wisps of black flames, spreading throughout their bodies. About 5 or 6 times, the 9 corpses were burned to ashes, not even a strand of hair was left. But the black flames did not dissipate, on the contrary, it was even stronger than before. Whoosh! Immediately after, the 9 clusters of black flames soared into the sky, turning into streams of light, rushing towards the peak of the mountain, and soon disappeared. Not only did they rob their lifespan, they didn't even let go of their corpses. This is too cruel. Looking at this scene, Fatso and Wolf King's eyes almost popped out. Qin Feiyang also couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. This place was really strange everywhere. Today, I must find out what's on the peak of the mountain. After Wolf King came back to his senses, he took out the rib and rushed towards the stone stairs at the foot of the mountain. Don't be rash. Qin Feiyang's expression changed abruptly as he hurriedly shouted. Don't worry, if this rib is useless, I will retreat immediately. Wolf King said without looking back and landed in front of the stone stairs. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows, swooped down, and landed behind Wolf King. Fatso followed closely behind. Be careful. Looking at Wolf King's back, Qin Feiyang warned and did not stop him. Chapter 8:16. Wolf King nodded, took a deep breath, and resolutely stepped onto the stone stairs. It had seen the situation of the 9 people with its own eyes, so it was especially careful and always paid attention to the changes in its body. Qin Feiyang and the fatty's gazes were also fixed on it the whole time. 1 step. 2 steps. When it reached the 20th step, Wolf King clearly felt that something in its body was passing away. It knew that this thing that was passing away was its lifespan. But it did not retreat. It tightened the rib in its hand and continued to walk up. As it moved forward step by step, the situation of the 9 people also happened to it. The white hair all over its body was originally bright and colorful. But at this moment, it was gradually dimming. Its skin also seemed to be losing moisture and slowly shriveled. By the time it reached the 100th step, its hair was already falling off, and its bright eyes had become turbid. But the rib on its claws did not react at all. "Can't I?" It stopped and looked up at the top of the mountain, unwilling to give up. "Come down." Qin Feiyang frowned and shouted. "Don't be impulsive." Fatso also shouted anxiously. Wolf King lowered its head and looked at the two in silence. Then it looked up at the top of the mountain and muttered, "I haven't reached my limit yet." It took another step forward. "Bastard." Qin Feiyang was angry. Didn't it say that it would retreat if it couldn't do it? "What should we do?" Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang and asked anxiously. "I'll go and pull it down." Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and was about to rush up the stone stairs. Buzz! But at this moment, the rib on Wolf King's claws suddenly bloomed with bright light. As soon as this light appeared, it rushed toward Wolf King and condensed a dazzling light shield on its body. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He was not unfamiliar with this scene at all. Back then, when he and Ren Wushuang left the ruins, the rib protected them like this. Fatso also looked at the rib in shock and said, "Does this mean it's useful?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Looking at Wolf King again, his eyes were full of surprise at this moment. "You really didn't disappoint my expectations of you." It lowered its head and chuckled at the rib, then took large strides and ran up the stairs. "What's going on?" At this moment, Yen flew through the air, like lightning, and landed beside Qin Feiyang and looked at Wolf on the stone stairs in surprise. Fatty smiled proudly and said, "Didn't you see it all?" Yen Wei's pupils constricted as he asked, "Is it grabbing a bone? Aren't you talking nonsense?" Fatty rolled his eyes. Yen Wushuang, how could a single bone possess such power? What a joke. "Don't look down on it, it's not an ordinary bone." "Right, have you dealt with those small fries?" Fatso Wushuang asked. "Yes. Not a single one is left." Yen Wei nodded. "Amazing." Fatso Wushuang gave him a thumbs up and said proudly, "But compared to us, you're still far from it." Yen Wei rolled his eyes at him, but did not refute. In the past 6 months, he had tried to climb this mountain more than once, but he had never succeeded. But now, that wolf was almost halfway up the mountain. According to the current situation, it might really be able to reach the peak. Suddenly, Yen Wei seemed to have thought of something, and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Who exactly are you?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "We are not from the Forgotten Continent." "What?" Yen Wei's face changed. "They were not from here?" Fatso asked, "Have you heard of the Great Qin Empire?" "Great Qin Empire?" Yen Wei pondered for a moment, and shook his head. "Never heard of it." "Boss, it seems that your Great Qin Empire is not very famous." Fatso Wushuang laughed. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. The Forgotten Continent and the Great Qin Empire were not in the same place, so it was normal that Yen Wei did not know. Also, what did he mean by his Great Qin Empire? Although he was the son of the emperor, hadn't he already been stripped of his position as prince? Even if he was still a prince, he couldn't say that the Great Qin Empire was his. If this was heard by the people of the imperial capital, they would definitely accuse him of treason. Most importantly, if someone who didn't know heard this, they would think that he was the ruler of a country. As expected, Yen Wei misunderstood, and looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. "I didn't expect you to be a monarch at such a young age. Don't listen to his nonsense." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "I'm not talking nonsense, although I'm not now, I'll definitely be in the future." Fatso Wushuang interrupted seriously. "Shut up." Qin Feiyang glared at him angrily, the veins on his forehead bulging. "Hee hee." Fatso Wushuang laughed and raised his head to look at Wolf King. His expression suddenly changed, and he exclaimed, "How could this be?" Qin Feiyang and Yen Wei were shocked, and hurriedly raised their heads to look, and their expressions also changed. At this moment, the Wolf King was already halfway up the mountain. However, at some point in time, the light barrier had disappeared. The ribs on Wolf King's claws were also silent, without the slightest light. Looking at Wolf King's appearance, his eyes were turbid, and he looked incomparably old, as if he was terminally ill. "Come down quickly!" Qin Feiyang roared. Wolf King also immediately turned around and ran down, but his steps were unsteady. Fatso Wushuang said in a deep voice, "Boss, Brother Wolf definitely won't be able to hold on for long. Your injuries haven't healed yet, so it's not suitable for you to take risks. I'll go up and save him." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. Whoosh. Fatso Wushuang immediately took out the ribs, used the return to one step, stepped on the stone stairs, and rushed towards Wolf King. Soon, Fatso's appearance began to change. But not long after. The ribs in his hand also bloomed with rays of brilliance, forming a barrier to protect him. Yan Wei said in surprise, "Who do these bones belong to? How can they have such terrifying power?" "The owner of these ribs was a strong person from many years ago. I don't know how strong he was, but he must be very strong. But now it seems that with these ribs alone, it's impossible to reach the top of the mountain," Qin Feiyang said. Not long after, Fatso Wushuang brought Wolf King back to Qin Feiyang's side. Qin Feiyang also immediately took out healing pills, battle chi pills, and longevity pills, and gave them to Wolf King. After recovering, Wolf King stood up and stared at the giant peak, and said angrily, "We've already reached halfway up the mountain and still failed. How annoying. It's good to be able to come back alive." Qin Feiyang stared at it, looked up at the top of the mountain, and thought, it shouldn't be this giant peak that steals the lifespan of living beings, but the thing on the top of the mountain. "Why don't we try using the castle and Changshui again?" Wolf King urged. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated, and finally nodded, "Okay, but we have to wait until we recover to our peak state before going up." "Okay." Wolf King nodded. Qin Feiyang turned to Yan Wei and said with a smile, "Didn't you want to know about the castle? I'll take you in now." With a wave of his hand, a group of people suddenly appeared in the castle. With the help of the fire of life, Lu Hong and the pangolin had already woken up. The situation of the double-winged snow eagle was much better. Wolf King and Fatso also immediately walked to the side of the fire of life, absorbing the life energy to heal their injuries. Yan Wei, on the other hand, looked at the castle in surprise. As for Qin Feiyang, he stood beside Yan Wei, smiling without saying anything. A moment later, Yan Wei took a cold breath and said, "This can't be a space treasure, right?" "Indeed." Qin Feiyang nodded. This, space treasures are legendary divine objects. How did you get one?" Yan Wei was shocked. Qin Feiyang said, "An old man left it to me." "Old man?" Yan Wei was stunned. It seemed that this person's identity was not as simple as he said before. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile, "Aren't you going to introduce yourself?" Yan Wei was silent. Glancing at Fatso and the others, there was a trace of vigilance in his eyes. "Don't worry. Those who can enter the castle are all my friends, they can definitely be trusted," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Hearing this, Yan Wei's vigilance disappeared. But his attitude made Wolf King, Fatso, and the others unhappy. "Mysterious, I don't believe that you are from the Central Divine Kingdom." Wolf King pursed his lips. Yan Wei was surprised and said, "Have you been to the Central Divine Kingdom?" Wolf King was stunned. Rolling his eyes, he pretended to be deep and said, "Of course." Yan Wei's spirit was lifted, and there was a yearning look in his eyes. "What is the Central Divine Kingdom like? Can you tell me about it?" "Ah." Wolf King was stunned. He just wanted to tease Yan Wei, he didn't expect that he would really believe it. Qin Feiyang looked at Wolf King jokingly and said, "Tell me, I also want to know." Wolf King was embarrassed. He didn't even know where the Central Divine Kingdom was. How could he know what the Central Divine Kingdom was like? "Don't brag if you don't know." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and looked at Yan Wei helplessly. They are a group of indecent guys, don't listen to their nonsense. Just bragging? Yan Wei's face twitched, he shook his head in disappointment and said, I am the leader of the Heavenly Tiger Tribe in the 8th District. The 8th District. Everyone's expression froze. Although it didn't have a strong background as the Central Divine Kingdom, it was shocking enough to come from the 8th District. Is your tribe very strong? Lu Hong asked. Not bad, it is one of the 3 super tribes in the 8th District. Including me, there are a total of 2 8-star battle saints in the tribe. Yan Wei said. 2 8-star battle saints. Lu Hong's eyes trembled and asked again, how many 1-star to 7-star battle saints are there? Yan Wei thought for a moment and said, there should be about 100. Damn! More than 100 battle saints, isn't this too scary? The few of them looked at each other. They didn't expect that this person had such a powerful force behind him. Immediately, Fatso and the others became excited. Now that Yan Wei was following Qin Feiyang, the force behind Yan Wei could naturally be used by Qin Feiyang. In other words, Qin Feiyang now had an army of battle saints in his hands. Yan Wei glanced at the few of them and knew what they were thinking from their expressions. He turned to face Qin Feiyang and bowed, although I am following you now, I hope that you won't force my people. Fatso and the others were dissatisfied. What force? Wasn't this a matter of course? All of you, behave yourselves. Qin Feiyang glanced at the few of them unhappily, looked at Yan Wei and smiled, don't worry, I won't force them to do anything, and I won't force you to make any decisions. Chapter 8:17. However, Yan Wei did not know that Qin Feiyang still had a sentence that he did not say. Although he would not force them, he would use other methods to make those people follow him willingly. In the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. Qin Feiyang and Fatso were the first to recover from their injuries, and their lost blood and qi were also recovered. Lu Hong and Wolf King were still recuperating. After all, they did not fuse with the fire of life, so they naturally did not recover as quickly as Qin Feiyang and Fatso. Fatso got up and said impatiently, Boss, let's begin. Qin Feiyang nodded. Wolf King hurriedly opened his eyes and said, Don't, wait for me. Qin Feiyang was stunned, shook his head helplessly, and said with a smile, Okay, I'll wait for you. I also have something to investigate. What is it? Wolf King asked. The exit. We can't really be trapped in this place for the rest of our lives. Qin Feiyang said. Yan Wei also became excited when he heard the word exit. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and left the castle with Yan Wei. Looking at the giant peak, Qin Feiyang looked at Yan Wei and said, In the past half a year, have you found the exit? Yan Wei pointed in all directions and said, We can go out in all directions of the Black Dragon Glacier. Qin Feiyang was stunned. However, there is a mysterious force in all directions that cuts off contact with the outside world. Yan Wei said. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, What kind of mysterious force? It's very strange, I'll take you there to take a look. After Yan Wei said that, his saint aura surged, swept up Qin Feiyang, and sped away in a random direction. About half an hour later, the two of them landed in the air above a mountain ridge. In front of the mountain ridge, there was a vast black plain where not a single blade of grass grew. At the end of the plain, there was still an endless glacier. However, the difference was that the glacier was snow-white. Furthermore, in the glacier, one could clearly see all kinds of flowers and trees, as well as all kinds of ferocious birds and beasts. It was a scene full of vitality. How could this be? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. That is the outside world, and this black plain in front of us is the dividing line. Yan Wei said. So you're saying that we can leave the Black Dragon Glacier as long as we leave the Black Plains? Qin Feiyang said. Yes. But if you want to leave, it will never be possible. Yan Wei sighed. Qin Feiyang scanned the black plain and gradually frowned. The black plains didn't seem to be any different from the rest of the Black Dragon Glacier. Furthermore, he was unable to sense the mysterious power that Yan Wei spoke of. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang took a step forward and landed on the black plain. Immediately, he sensed an invisible force shrouding him. "Come back quickly." At the same time, Yan Wei's face changed and he hurriedly shouted at Qin Feiyang. But Qin Feiyang didn't move and carefully sensed the mysterious power. Suddenly, there was a trace of bewilderment in his eyes. This mysterious power not only didn't give him any sense of crisis, on the contrary, it gave him an indescribable vitality. He felt that he was a few years younger all of a sudden. Fool! Seeing this, Yan Wei secretly cursed and hurriedly swooped down and landed beside Qin Feiyang. Then he grabbed Qin Feiyang's arm and forcibly pulled Qin Feiyang back. "What's wrong? Isn't there no danger here?" Qin Feiyang looked at him in confusion. "On the contrary, just now you had half a foot in the gates of hell." Yan Wei scanned the black plain with a dignified face. "The gates of hell?" Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled and he said, "What's going on?" "The mysterious power here is endowed with a very special life force. It will make you younger and more energetic. It can even make a person who is nearing the end of his life rejuvenate," Yan Wei said. Qin Feiyang looked at the void in surprise and said, "Isn't this a good thing?" "A good thing?" Yan Wei glanced at him with a sneer and was about to speak. But at this time, on the glacier outside the plain, a black falcon accidentally broke into the sky above the plain. Yan Wei said, "Take a good look." Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the falcon. The falcon was not big, about 5 or 6 meters, and its cultivation was not strong either. It was a 5-star martial grandmaster. When it first entered the sky above the plain, it was very happy and full of vitality. It could be seen that it liked the mysterious power very much. But soon, its body began to gradually shrink. And its cultivation was also falling. The falcon panicked. It, who had not yet unlocked its intelligence, instinctively wanted to turn around and leave this dangerous place. But it found that it could not leave the black plain, as if there was an invisible barrier in front of it. It was screaming crazily, full of helplessness. Its body was also getting smaller and smaller. Its original 5 or 6 meters body was now only 2 meters. Its cultivation had also fallen to martial master. However, it was not over yet. Its body was still shrinking, and its cultivation was still falling. Suddenly, it found Qin Feiyang and Yan Wei, flapped its wings and flew towards them crazily. But after flying a few meters, its body shrank to half a meter and fell to the ground with a bang. Its cultivation was also completely gone, and it became an ordinary falcon. However, the shocking scene had only just begun. The falcon that fell to the ground was still shrinking, and its feathers were also changing. In an instant, it was only the size of a palm, like a newborn chick. The next moment, the palm-sized falcon turned into a pool of blood and blended into the soil. This, Qin Feiyang, who had witnessed the whole process with his own eyes, had a look of horror on his face. The extreme of life is death. In fact, here is also robbing the lifespan of living creatures, but the method is the opposite of the giant peak. The giant peak is to let you age little by little until your life comes to an end. And here, it is to let you rejuvenate, step by step back to the origin, which is to return to before you were born. This is also a kind of death. Yan Wei withdrew his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, "Now, do you still think that there is no danger here?" Qin Feiyang swallowed his saliva. Returning to the origin, returning to before you were born, this ability was too heaven-defying. What was this mysterious power? Where did it come from? And the stronger the person, the more powerful this mysterious power is. In fact, half a year ago, I was not the only one who entered the Black Dragon Glacier, there was another person. This person is also the leader of a super tribe in the 8th area. His cultivation is the same as mine. At that time, when he realized that he couldn't climb the giant peak, he insisted on going out. In the end, just like Falcon, not even his corpse was left. Yan Wei sighed. Heard of it? Qin Feiyang couldn't help but shiver, his scalp going numb. Even an 8 Star Wars saint had died here, let alone a mere 7 Star Wars sect like him. Thank you. Qin Feiyang looked at Yan Wei and sincerely thanked him. If not for Yan Wei's timely action, he would have probably followed in Falcon's footsteps. It's fine. Yan Wei waved his hand, looking at the vast black plains, his face full of worry. Don't worry, there's always a way out. There will definitely be a way to leave. Qin Feiyang comforted her. I hope so. Yan Wei sighed deeply. Honestly speaking, even if Qin Feiyang acted very mysterious and confident, he didn't have much hope. The two of them returned the way they came and once again arrived at the foot of the giant peak. Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui and looked up at the top of the mountain without saying a word. No one knew what he was thinking. Yan Wei stood at the side, curiously sizing up the Chang Shui, and said, "This is the Chang Shui you mentioned?" Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Why does it look like an ornament? Are you sure you can rely on it to reach the top of the mountain? Yan Wei said. The Chang Shui has been with me for many years, but until now, I still haven't figured out what it's used for. But what I'm sure of is that if it's willing to manifest, there's absolutely no problem. Qin Feiyang said. Manifest? Yan Wei was stunned, then shook his head. Waiting for a dead object to manifest was too unreliable. It seemed that he was destined to spend the rest of his life here. Qin Feiyang glanced at Yan Wei and didn't say anything. He took Yan Wei into the castle and copied the 5th stroke of the kill formula. Yan Wei didn't know what the 6-word formula was, so he didn't understand it after looking at it for a long time, so he sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to meditate. Time was like sand between fingers, passing in the blink of an eye. The 3rd day. Qin Feiyang finally retracted his arm, closed the 6-word formula, and turned to look at everyone. After 3 days of cultivation, everyone's essence, qi, and spirit had recovered to their peak state. At the same time, Wolf King, Fatso, and the double-winged snow eagle also got up and looked at Qin Feiyang, their eyes full of expectation. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, and led everyone to the bottom of the mountain. Give the Chang Shui to me. Wolf King was a little impatient. Don't be so impatient, those 2 big fishes are probably already here, let's entertain them first. Qin Feiyang laughed. The big fishes he was referring to were naturally the tower masters of the 3rd and 4th regions. Wolf King was stunned, and said with a smirk, Don't say, if you didn't remind me, I really would have forgotten about them. At the same time, Fatso and the pangolin also had a smirk on their faces. Fatso turned to look at Yan Wei, and said with a smile, Brother, why don't you help to find them? Although Yan Wei was enslaved by Qin Feiyang, his cultivation was in front of him, so he didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of Yan Wei. Whether it was his attitude or his tone, he was very polite. Yan Wei glanced at him and turned to leave without saying a word. Don't go, the Black Dragon Glacier is only so big, if they come, they will definitely find this place. Let's wait for them to come to us. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Yan Wei turned back again, and stood at the side silently. Qin Feiyang also liked Yan Wei's performance very much, and finally, he was no longer a jerk. Time quietly passed by. Whoosh! About half an hour later, 2 ear-piercing sounds suddenly came. They're here. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed, and he turned to look at the void on his left. In the distance, 2 streams of light streaked across the sky like lightning, and rushed in this direction. Yan Wei, restrain your aura, don't let them see your cultivation. Qin Feiyang said. Yan Wei's heart moved, and his aura instantly retracted to the extreme. Chapter 8:18. Although the pagoda master of the third zone looked inconspicuous, his fiery red robe made him look like a god of fire. His aura was overwhelming. As for the pagoda master of the fourth zone, his purple robe made him look noble and extraordinary. That grave and stern face was stern in speech and manner, carrying a great sense of majesty. As the two of them sped along, they looked around. The pagoda master of the third zone frowned. Where did the leaders go? Why can't we find them? No hurry. We'll search in this direction. If there's no one, we'll search in another direction. Anyway, the Black Dragon Glacier is not big. We'll find them sooner or later. The pagoda master of the fourth zone said. This is not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about now is whether they manage to get rid of Qin Feiyang or not. The pagoda master of the third zone said. What a joke. 3 2-star battle saints and 21 1-star battle saints. Such a powerful lineup. How could they fail? The pagoda master of the fourth zone sneered. That's true. The pagoda master of the third zone pondered for a while. He heaved a sigh of relief and nodded with a smile. Suddenly, the pagoda master of the third zone glanced at the giant peak inadvertently. At that moment, he was stunned. There seemed to be a few figures at the foot of the mountain. He thought that they were the leaders who came to kill Qin Feiyang and the rest. There was a trace of joy on his face. However, when he lowered his head and saw the faces of those people, his gaze trembled. How can this be? None of them died. He froze in the void, his eyes filled with disbelief. What do you mean they didn't die? The pagoda master of the fourth zone was bewildered. Look over there. The pagoda master of the third zone pointed to the foot of the giant peak and said in a deep voice. The pagoda master of the fourth zone looked over and was petrified on the spot. Impossible. This must be a dream. After coming back to his senses, the pagoda master of the fourth zone shook his head frantically. He rubbed his eyes hard and looked again. However, the people standing at the foot of the mountain did not change at all. This meant that it was not a dream at all. But why was this? One had to know. The people they sent were all battle saints. Not to mention killing Qin Feiyang and the rest, they could even sweep through the third and fourth zones of the third zone. However, not only did they not kill Qin Feiyang, but his companions were also unharmed. What the hell was going on? At the same time, at the foot of the mountain, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other, and there was a brilliant smile in their eyes. Brothers, why don't we let's have a chat? Shouted pagoda masters of the fifth master of the fourth zone. However, the two tower masters didn't seem to have heard him. They were immersed in deep disbelief, unable to extricate themselves. None of them. Of how did Piang come pagoda master how? Battle saints of the three of them of the battle saints? Were they all of them? But even if Qin Feiyang had a saint artifact, it was still impossible for him to do it. What in the past 3 days over? Of the Piang of the second of pit? One of the second of them of them people. They saw Yen Wei. But seeing that Yen Wei did not have the slightest bit of aura, coupled with the fact that they were in a state of extreme nervousness, they naturally ignored Yen Wei. As for the strength of Qin Feiyang and the rest, they could see through them at a glance. Apart from the double-winged snow eagle, they were all only battle masters. It was impossible for them to be a match for the leaders. Could it be, suddenly, the same thought crawled into their minds at the same time. The black-clothed old woman. Could it be that the black-clothed old woman had been hiding by Qin Feiyang's side? Thinking of this, the two of them suddenly quivered and quickly scanned their surroundings. Their eyes were full of vigilance. They thought that the black-clothed old woman might be hiding somewhere nearby. But they did not know that the black-clothed old woman was not Qin Feiyang's people at all. What should we do? The third zone pagoda master thought. What else can we do? Run. The fourth zone pagoda master shouted and immediately turned around. As if his butt was on fire, he ran away. Since the 4th Zone Pagoda Master had run away, how could the 3rd Zone Pagoda Master dare to stay any longer? He hurriedly chased after the 4th Zone Pagoda Master. He ran away just like that? Fatso frowned. This was too boring. Originally, he wanted to tease the two of them, but he didn't expect them to be so cowardly and run away. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Yen Wei and said, "Invite them back. Please." Yen Wei was startled, then turned into a ray of light and soared into the sky. In a few blinks of an eye, he stood in front of the two pagoda masters. What? This speed, the two of them changed color. Yen Wei extended his hand and said politely, "Please." "And who are you?" The two of them were extremely surprised. Previously, when they saw that this person had no aura, they thought that he was just a follower of Qin Feiyang. But they never thought that he would have such a terrifying speed. This was enough to show that the person in front of them was definitely not an ordinary person. "I don't want to say it again," Yen Wei said with a cold gaze. The two of them quivered and looked at each other. A fierce light flashed in their eyes. Boom! Two terrifying auras burst out from the ground. The two of them stepped out at the same time and punched at Yen Wei with all their strength. "You overestimate yourselves," Yen Wei muttered. His holy aura roared and rushed toward the two pagoda masters. For those who had not unlocked their potential, the holy aura was also a trump card. For example, Yen Wei's holy aura could even affect a 7-star battle saint. But for those who had unlocked their potential, it was a different story. The moment the holy aura enveloped them, the two pagoda masters immediately felt as if they had fallen into a quagmire. It was extremely difficult to even take a step forward. "What's your cultivation level?" The two of them looked at Yen Wei in horror. 8-star battle saint. Yen Wei said expressionlessly. "What?" The two of them were in despair. One of them was a 3-star battle saint, and the other was a 4-star battle saint. Even if they combined, they were no match for an 8-star battle saint. What kind of monster was Qin Feiyang? Why were there so many terrifying experts hiding around him? Just as the two of them were in a daze, Yen Wei waved his hand. The two of them flew out uncontrollably and rolled in front of Qin Feiyang. Subsequently, Yen Wei also landed beside Qin Feiyang and fell silent again. "Brother Qin, spare our lives. We were blind and failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please be magnanimous and let us live." The two pagoda masters came back to their senses and quickly got up, kneeling on the ground and begging. Get up, get up. You are both battle saint seniors. I'm just a small battle saint. I can accept your kneeling," Qin Feiyang said hurriedly with a terrified expression. "Brother Qin, can you stop torturing us?" However, the two of them were about to cry. "What are you talking about? When did I torture you? It seems that you have been torturing me all this time," Qin Feiyang said. Yes. It's all our fault. We apologize, we repent," the two of them nodded their heads vigorously. "Then can I ask the two seniors to help this junior solve the doubts in his heart?" Qin Feiyang laughed. Yes. The two of them nodded, not daring to have the slightest bit of disloyalty. Qin Feiyang asked, "Why did you send so many people to kill me?" The two of them hesitated. The 4th Region Pagoda Master's eyes flashed, and hurriedly said, "This is an order from above, we must see your body." "Yes, that's right. We have no choice." The 3rd Region Pagoda Master also said. "Is that so? But why do I feel that you guys are greedy for my sacred artifacts?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Their pupils constricted, and their faces were filled with panic. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang had an answer in his heart. It was really for the 2 sacred artifacts on him. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he pointed at the 3rd Region Pagoda Master, saying, "Kill him." Yen Wei waved his hand, and his battle chi gushed out, rushing towards the third region pagoda master. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, this person exploded on the spot, and blood splattered all over the ground. The fourth region pagoda master was right next to the third region pagoda master, so the blood also sprayed all over his body. At this moment, his face was pale, and he frantically kowtowed, constantly shouting, "Spare me, spare me." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, and said, "Do you know why I only killed him and not you?" "I don't know." The fourth region pagoda master shook his head. "Because you still have value. Let me ask you, have you reported to the higher-ups that I will go to the fourth region to snatch the pill fire?" Qin Feiyang said. The fourth region pagoda master was extremely nervous. He had reported it, and Qin Feiyang dared to publicly announce that he would go to the fourth region to snatch the pill fire, so he was definitely not afraid of him reporting it. However, he did not know what Qin Feiyang was thinking, so he did not know how to answer. "Tell me the truth," Qin Feiyang said. The fourth region pagoda master gritted his teeth and nodded, "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, "Then did the higher-ups of your pill pagoda make any arrangements?" "No." The fourth region pagoda master shook his head. "No?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Since they knew that he was going to the fourth region, why didn't they set up a trap in advance? Fatso said, "Could it be that they gave up on setting up the trap because they knew that we had entered the Black Dragon Glacier?" Qin Feiyang frowned, looked at the fourth region pagoda master, and asked, "Is that so?" "Yes." The fourth region pagoda master nodded. Fatso sighed, "It seems that our plan is going to fail." Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, shook his head and smiled, "Not necessarily." "What do you mean?" Fatso was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, "Because Mu Qing hasn't taken action yet." "How do you know?" Fatso was surprised. "It's very simple. If Mu Qing has already snatched the elixir fire of the fourth region, then the two of them will not enter the Black Dragon Glacier today." Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile. "Yes, why didn't Fat Lord think of that?" Fatso suddenly understood. Mu Qing would definitely disguise himself as Qin Feiyang to snatch the elixir fire. Then the fourth region pagoda master would think that they had already left the Black Dragon Glacier, and naturally would not come back. On the contrary, the two pagoda masters were here, but Mu Qing had not taken action yet. However, for the sake of safety, Qin Feiyang still intended to ask. He looked at the fourth region pagoda master and said, "In the past 3 days, did anyone go to the Pill Pagoda to snatch the elixir fire?" "No." The fourth region pagoda master shook his head. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at Fatso and the others, and said, "Then we still have time to make arrangements." Hearing this, Fatso and the others were puzzled. Now that they were trapped here, they did not know when they could leave, and they could not contact the people outside. How could they make arrangements? Qin Feiyang said, "As long as we can leave here today, we still have time." "Leave?" Chapter 8:19. Fatso and the others knew Qin Feiyang very well, so they did not deny that Qin Feiyang might really have a way to leave the Black Dragon Glacier. But it would also take time. Leaving today, how could it be possible? Unless they gave up the things on the mountain peak. But no one was willing to give up. And Yen Wei, who did not know Qin Feiyang, did not even bother to hide the disbelief on his face. In terms of understanding of the Black Dragon Glacier, no one here could compare to him. In his opinion, if they wanted to leave this place, they would need the help of the gods. But in this world, were there any gods? As for the 4th District Tower Master, he was dumbfounded. Who was Mu Qing? What plan? What were these people talking about? However, there was one thing that he could tell. This Black Dragon Glacier might be even more terrifying than he had imagined. He asked carefully, "Do you have a way to leave this place?" "Do you?" Qin Feiyang asked back. This person dared to run in, he must have thought about this problem in advance. "I don't know." I often heard people mention the Black Dragon Glacier before, but this is the first time I've come in. Is it really dangerous? The 4th District Tower Master asked nervously. You don't know and still dare to run in, you really don't know life from death. Yen Wei smiled coldly, his eyes full of ridicule. Fatso waved his hand and laughed. Brother Yen, you're wrong, he should be called blinded by greed. Hearing the conversation between the two, the 4th District Tower Master's heart instantly sank to the bottom. At the same time, Qin Feiyang looked at this person, his eyes flashing, and suddenly said, Has the 3rd District Tower Master ever come in? No. The 4th District Tower Master shook his head. Since he hasn't come in, then how does he know the coordinates here? Qin Feiyang frowned. If he knew the coordinates outside the Black Dragon Glacier, this was not strange. Because the Black Dragon Glacier was a big forbidden area, he believed that many people on the Forgotten Continent knew. But he had never entered the Black Dragon Glacier, but he knew the coordinates inside the Black Dragon Glacier. This was a bit strange. Yen Wei said, Actually, there's nothing strange about this. This is not strange? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Because in a legend passed down from ancient times, there is a coordinate of the Black Dragon Glacier. But no one knows who leaked the coordinates. Yen Wei said. The Tower Master of the 4th District nodded in agreement. I see. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and said, In that case, doesn't it prove that someone has escaped from here alive? You can say that. However, the legends that have been passed down do not mention a way to leave this place. Yen Wei nodded, his brows knitted together. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the peak of the mountain. His eyes flashed as he pointed at the 4th Region's Pagoda Lord and said to Yen Wei, Cripple his cultivation. No, the Tower Master of Zone 4 panicked and shouted. But in front of Yen Wei, he had no room to resist at all. His Qi was instantly shattered. Qin Feiyang also immediately formed a seal. Soon, a palm-sized mark appeared and rushed into the Tower Master of Zone 4's head. The Tower Master of Zone 4 suddenly screamed, feeling as if his head was about to explode. But soon, the pain disappeared. His face was full of surprise. What did Qin Feiyang do to him? Boss, what are you doing? Fatso looked at him in confusion. Even if he had 100 lives, it would not be enough to kill him. Why did he still keep him alive? He still has some use. Qin Feiyang replied indifferently, then took out a spirit sea pill and threw it to the Tower Master of Zone 4, saying, What's your name? Wu Yong. The Tower Master of Zone 4 swallowed the spirit sea pill and hurriedly replied. Then he asked, What was that mark just now? Qin Feiyang did not explain and said, Now you just stay here obediently. If you dare to act recklessly, I promise you will die miserably. Yes, yes, yes. Wu Yong agreed, but he was very excited in his heart. No matter why Qin Feiyang did not kill him, at least he kept his life. As long as he was alive, there was still a chance to turn the tables. Turn the tables? Qin Feiyang secretly sneered. The slave seal could not only control the other party's soul, as long as he was willing, he could also see through the other party's thoughts. So, he knew exactly what Wu Yong was thinking at the moment. But he did not say anything, pretending not to know, and then took out the Chang Shui. Seeing this, Fatso and Wolf King immediately took the initiative to ask for orders and said in unison, I'll go. What are you arguing for? Wolf King stared at Fatso in dissatisfaction. What are you arguing for? Fatso also looked at Wolf King unhappily. Wolf King said angrily, Nonsense, such a dangerous thing, of course it should be done by someone stronger. Are you as strong as me? No. But Fat Lord is not afraid of death. Fatso said, holding his head high and chest out, showing a heroic spirit of dying for a righteous cause. Can you stop pretending? Who doesn't know that you all want to take the thing on the top of the mountain for yourselves? What's more, in terms of strength, it seems that this emperor is stronger than all of you. It's not your turn to go. The winged snow eagle looked at the man and the wolf with disdain. One man and one wolf suddenly stared at the winged snow eagle unkindly. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang's face couldn't help but twitch. They didn't even know whether the Chang Shui was useful or not. What was there to fight for? Okay, all of you shut up, I'll go up myself. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at these people, grabbed the Chang Shui, and stepped on the stone stairs. See, boss is going up himself, there's no share for us, are you satisfied now? Fatso looked at Wolf King with dissatisfaction. Isn't this all your fault? Why did you get involved for no reason? Wolf King snorted coldly. Okay, stop arguing, pay attention to Qin Feiyang's situation. If there's any accident, we can go up to rescue him in time. The winged snow eagle glanced at the man and the wolf impatiently, and then fixed its gaze on Qin Feiyang's back. Can he really do it? Yen Wei frowned. I don't know. Fatso shook his head and became quiet, paying close attention to Qin Feiyang. Next to them, Wu Yong glanced at Qin Feiyang on the stone stairs, then looked at Fatso and the others, and asked, well, can I ask, what is Qin Feiyang doing? They raised their eyebrows, turned their heads at the same time, and stared at him coldly. Wu Yong shrunk his neck and stood there obediently, not daring to say a word. Let's talk about Qin Feiyang. Although this was the first time he stepped on the stone stairs, he had seen the whole process of Wolf King climbing the stone stairs, and he was already mentally prepared. Therefore, when he reached the 20th step and found that his life was beginning to elapse, he did not panic at all, and walked up step by step, with steady and powerful steps. Not long after, his appearance began to change. His long black hair gradually turned white. His face was also quietly aging. And his physical strength and cultivation were also slowly declining. Unconsciously, his forehead was overflowing with sweat. And unconsciously, he began to pant and feel tired. At this moment, he was already standing on the 100th step, looked up at the peak of the mountain, and then looked down at Chang Shui, and continued to walk up. Quickly tell him, if he can't do it, don't force yourself. Yen Wei frowned. I didn't know that you were quite concerned about him. Fatso was surprised. The Wolf King chimed in, that's right. Shouldn't you hate him? Yen Wei said indifferently, I didn't deny that I hate him, but I hope that he can live. Why? Fatso, Wolf King, and the two-winged snow eagle looked at him suspiciously. Because I want to leave this place. Although the chances are slim, I still want to believe in him. Yen Wei said. Fatso asked, and then? Yen Wei glanced at him, did not say anything, and fell silent. Even if you don't say it, Fat Lord knows that if you can really leave the Black Dragon Glacier, you will definitely leave immediately. Fatso sneered. Yen Wei raised his eyebrows, but did not say anything. It seems that Fat Lord was right. But now, whether I can leave or not, it's not up to you. Fatso laughed meaningfully. Although Yen Wei was still silent, there was a trace of surprise in the depths of his eyes. What did this mean? Suddenly, he remembered the mark. Could it be related to this mark? What was this mark? Why did Qin Feiyang feel so assured when this mark entered his sea of consciousness and merged with his soul? Time passed, and Qin Feiyang had already reached the 300th step. At this time, he felt unprecedentedly tired, and his eyelids were as heavy as iron. He wanted to lie down and sleep. But he knew that he couldn't sleep now. Because this sleep would become eternal, and he would never wake up again. And his current old appearance was almost the same as an old man in his 70s or 80s. Every time he took a step, he had to use all his strength. Originally, he had merged with the fire of life, and had endless vitality. But the speed at which this giant mountain robbed his life was too terrifying. The energy of the fire of life was too late to replenish. However, the Chang Shui in his hand was like a stubborn stone, and there was no reaction from beginning to end. Boss, don't force yourself. Quickly change to the castle and try again. Fatso's anxious roar sounded from below. Castle, Qin Feiyang murmured. With a thought, the castle's black light suddenly swept out from between his eyebrows and floated in front of him. But the palm-sized castle's surface was dull, and it looked simple and unadorned. Still not enough? Below, Fatso and Wolf King stared at the castle. Seeing that the castle didn't respond for a long time, a trace of disappointment gradually crept into their eyes. The double-winged snow eagle roared, "Don't hesitate, quickly come down." Sigh. Qin Feiyang looked at the peak of the mountain and sighed deeply. He was about to turn around and go down. "I can help you." But at this time, a voice full of hostility suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyang's head. "Who?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. "You forgot me so quickly. How sad." The voice laughed sinisterly, filled with a sense of arrogance and unruliness. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, and secretly said, "You are the inner demons?" "Yes, how can you forget me? I am at least one of your doppelgangers." The inner demons laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows, and said, "Don't talk nonsense. What do you have in mind?" "I can't tell you this." "If I tell you, what if you don't let me out?" The inner demons laughed mysteriously. "Then how do I know that you don't want to seize the opportunity to seize my body?" Qin Feiyang sneered. "Don't be mistaken. This is not your body. It is our body. I also have a part of it." The inner demons said unhappily. Qin Feiyang said, "Then forget it, I'll give up. You can't be like this, you know. We agreed that you would let me out to get some fresh air when you have time. But it's been so long now. Have you ever let me out? As a person, you have to keep your word. Between us, there should be more trust and less suspicion. Only then can we continue to get along peacefully." The inner demons said with a hint of resentment, but his tone was still polite. Qin Feiyang frowned, and secretly said, "You really have a way?" The inner demons said, "I can't say that I do. I just want to try." "Okay, come out." Chapter 820. The inner world was still blood-red. But unlike last time, the sky was not raining blood. Seeing Qin Feiyang's consciousness enter the inner world, the inner demons sitting cross-legged in the void immediately stood up with a sinister smile on his face. Qin Feiyang was disgusted by this smile. He frowned and said, "Don't force yourself if you can't. Don't worry, I don't want to die yet." The inner demons laughed and disappeared in front of Qin Feiyang. At the same time, outside, Qin Feiyang, who was standing on the stone stairs, suddenly began to change. His long hair, eyes, and even his skin turned blood-red, as if they were dyed in blood. His whole body was emitting a terrifying murderous aura. What's going on? When Fatty and the others saw this, their eyes were filled with bewilderment. The double-winged snow eagle said, "Did he activate the battle formula?" "No." Fatso shook his head. "It's not the battle formula. Because when he activated the battle formula, only fighting spirit appeared in him. But now, there is no fighting spirit in him at all. Instead, there is a strong murderous aura." Wolf King said in a deep voice. "Brother Wolf, did you notice that boss's current situation is somewhat similar to when he was attacked by the invincible Black Army's commander?" Fatso was surprised. Wolf King's pupils shrank. He looked at Qin Feiyang seriously and said in a deep voice, "It's not similar, it's exactly the same. It seems that little Qin Z is hiding something from us." At this moment, the inner demons, Qin Feiyang, lowered his head and looked at Fatso and the others. When they saw the heart demon Qin Feiyang's eyes, there wasn't a single person who wasn't trembling. Including Yen Wei. Inside those blood-red eyes, there seemed to be a sea of corpses churning, filled with an unparalleled bloody aura. There was also a sense of bloodlust, cold-bloodedness, and savagery. He felt that the current Qin Feiyang was like a killing god from hell, very unfamiliar. Jijia, the inner demons, Qin Feiyang, smiled sinisterly. He turned to look at the mountain peak and said, "Nothing in this world can stump me, Qin Feiyang." Finished speaking. He took a step forward. His aged body seemed to have transformed into a battle sword. The sharpness of his sword was oppressive and carried a shocking domineering aura. What's going on? Fatso and the others looked at each other. Wasn't he already on the verge of dying? How did he suddenly become so lively? The inner demons were full of vigor. Every step they took was steady and powerful. A short while later, he was actually halfway up the mountain. But at this point, his body began to sway, and his blood-red hair gradually turned white. You can't? He raised his eyebrows and looked down at Chang Shui and the castle. He said angrily, "Since you won't help me, what use do I have for you?" Then, under the horrified gaze of Fatso and the others, the inner demons, Qin Feiyang, actually threw Chang Shui and the castle out like garbage. "Boss, are you crazy?" Fatso exclaimed. One had to know. Whether it was the castle or Chang Shui, they were of great significance to Qin Feiyang. Over the years, he had protected them like his own life. However, he didn't expect that Qin Feiyang would throw them away without any reluctance at this moment. What was going on? Why did Qin Feiyang become like this? At the same time, in the inner world, Qin Feiyang's true body's consciousness can also clearly see the situation outside. Looking at what the inner demons did, he was also dumbfounded. But then, he quivered and quickly seized control of his body. The castle was the only thing left to him by Uncle Yuan. Chang Shui was also the only thing left to him by his mother. How could he throw it away? This bastard, he was simply too reckless. Why are you heartbroken? Why do you still want these worthless things? Besides, even without them, with our ability, we can still make a name for ourselves. Sensing that Qin Feiyang began to seize control of his body, the inner demons couldn't help but roar, their eyes full of disdain. What's going on? Fatso and the others looked at each other. When the inner demons said this, they didn't secretly transmit their voice, so Fatso and the others heard it clearly. They were very surprised. Who was Qin Feiyang talking to? There was no one else on the stone stairs. The air? Wasn't this a little too strange? Whether they are valuable or not, for me, I can't give them up. They are the only fetters in my heart. Besides, they have helped me a lot in the past. In the inner world, Qin Feiyang's body said in a deep voice. You are too naive. Everything in this world, no matter what it is, can only rely on yourself. The inner demon sneered, full of mockery. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Give me back control of my body. Qin Feiyang said impatiently. Okay, I will give it back to you right away. But before that, I want to erase the blood contract between Chang Shui and the castle. The inner demons laughed sinisterly. What? You can't do that. Qin Feiyang's expression changed abruptly, and he roared angrily. Fatso and the others below were also extremely shocked. He wanted to erase the blood contract. It seemed that Qin Feiyang wasn't joking this time. He really wanted to throw away Chang Shui and the castle. How could he bear to do that? Let's talk about Chang Shui and the castle. After being thrown out by the inner demons, they both fell at the foot of the giant peak, lying quietly in the black snow, without any movement. But just as the inner demons said that they were going to erase the blood contract, a bright light suddenly bloomed. At the same time, two terrifying auras, like volcanic eruptions, rushed into the sky and shook the firmament. The inner demons were surprised. Qin Feiyang's body was also surprised. Fatso and the others were also in disbelief. These two immovable divine objects had actually awakened. Whoosh! The next moment, another thing happened that surprised them even more. Zhang Shui and the ancient castle actually took the initiative to soar into the air and landed on top of Qin Feiyang's head like lightning. Immediately, strands of divine light fell down and formed a bright barrier around Qin Feiyang's body. When the barrier appeared, both Qin Feiyang's body and the inner demons immediately sensed that the lifespan that had been flowing away finally stopped. No way. Qin Feiyang in the inner world was dumbfounded. How could this be? The inner demons were also a little confused. When he came to his senses, the corners of his mouth lifted. He looked up at Zhang Shui and the castle and said sarcastically, "You didn't listen to me when I tried to be gentle. You forced me to be forceful. You're really cheap." Clang. Clang. As if they could understand the inner demon's words, Zhang Shui and the ancient castle trembled in the void, releasing a shocking sharpness. "You're still trying to scare me? You just wait. Sooner or later, I'll throw you into the latrine and suppress you for 10,000 years. I'll make you stink." The inner demons smiled arrogantly and turned to rush toward the top of the mountain. Zhang Shui and the castle followed him. Soon, he stood on the last step and turned to look down at the ground. Like a king descending to the world, he was domineering. Success. Fatso and the others looked at each other. The joy in their hearts was indescribable. Yan Wei was also pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be able to reach the top of the mountain. Fatso shouted excitedly, "Boss, can you let us go up and have a look?" "Of course, no problem." The inner demons smiled and looked up at Zhang Shui and the castle. He said, "Didn't you hear? One of you go down and bring them up." Whoosh! The castle suddenly swooped down and landed on top of Fatso and the others. "Thank you." Fatso cupped his hands and said. The Wolf King and the two-winged snow eagle were also full of awe. Qin Feiyang dared to shout at the castle, but they didn't dare. After a while, everyone climbed to the top of the mountain and stood beside the inner demons. Yan Wei and Wu Yong also followed. "Boss, you're too awesome, but what's going on with you?" Fatso's face was full of admiration, as if he was looking at his idol. "Then answer first, do you like the original me or the current me?" the inner demon said. Fatso thought for a while and laughed. The previous boss was calm and wise, the current boss is domineering, Fat Lord likes both. Disgusting. The inner demons looked at Fatso with disdain, then turned around and looked at the top of the mountain. Originally, he wanted to show off in front of Qin Feiyang. For example, if Fatso said that he liked the current him, then he could take the opportunity to attack Qin Feiyang. But he didn't expect Fatso's answer to be so smooth, not giving him the chance. At the same time, Fatty and the others were also excited as they turned around to look. But in front of them, it was still hazy, and they couldn't see clearly. What's going on? Yan Wei frowned. They had already climbed to the top of the mountain, why couldn't they see clearly? Follow me closely. The inner demons pondered for a while, then took a step forward and entered the top of the mountain. Everyone followed closely behind him. When they entered the top of the mountain, everything in front of them suddenly disappeared and revealed itself. The top of the mountain wasn't big, about 100 feet or so, as if it was cut by a knife, and there were no living creatures. However, at the center of the mountain peak, there were two things floating in the air that left everyone dumbfounded. They were a heart and an eye. The heart was as big as a millstone, beating non-stop, making thunderous sounds. What was even more strange was that the heart was actually black, emitting a shocking demonic aura. Similarly, the eye was also as black as ink, about the size of a fist, like the eye of a devil, spewing out wisps of black mist, breathtaking. These are the things on the top of the mountain? Everyone looked at the eye and heart, dumbfounded. Do you think these are the legendary black dragon's heart and eye? Yan Wei swallowed his saliva and said. So what if they are? They still can't stop us. The inner demon sneered. Fatso frowned and said, Boss, this heart and eye are indeed a little scary, but what's the use? The inner demons raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "You ask me, who should I ask?" Fatso shrank his neck. The current Qin Feiyang was too vicious, making him a little afraid. The inner demons looked at the heart and eye. Suddenly, his eyes turned to Fatso, and said, "You go and try." "Why me?" Fatso's face suddenly turned pale, and he shook his head. Such a dangerous thing, he couldn't go even if he was beaten to death. "You really don't want to go?" The inner demons looked at him threateningly. "No, definitely not." Chapter 8:21. Then don't regret it. According to my speculation, even if the heart and eyes didn't belong to the black dragon, they might have been left behind by a divine beast. If you get them, you might be able to get the inheritance of this divine beast. The inner demons laughed coldly. Divine beast. Fatso's eyes trembled. Wasn't this too tempting? "I'll go." Yen Wei glanced at the crowd. Seeing that no one stood out, he gritted his teeth and walked towards the heart and eyes. The inner demons frowned and said, "You can't, come back right now." "Why?" Yen Wei looked at him, puzzled. He also had a feeling that if he could get the heart and eyes, it would definitely bring endless benefits. "Although you hide it well, I can see that your heart hasn't really submitted to me." The inner demons laughed coldly. "How is that possible?" Yen Wei's heart trembled, his eyes were full of disbelief. "Nothing is impossible, I can see through all your thoughts." The inner demons sneered. The inner demons and Qin Feiyang were originally one, so no matter what Qin Feiyang had, he also had it. "I can see through all your thoughts." Yen Wei panicked. This Qin Feiyang, what did he do to him? The inner demons looked at him mockingly, turned to Fatso, and said, "I'll ask you again, are you going or not?" I, Fatso stuttered, finally gritted his teeth and roared, "I'll go." At worst, he would die, what was there to be afraid of? At the same time, in the inner world, Qin Feiyang looked at this scene and frowned. "I'm telling you, don't harm Fatso." "Don't worry, I know what to do." The inner demons secretly said. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Legend has it that the Black Dragon's legacy is here. This heart and I might really be related to the Black Dragon. And Fatso has activated the Black Dragon fighting soul, which is compatible with the Black Dragon. He might be able to obtain them. The inner demon said. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he said, "It sounds quite reasonable, but this is only your guess after all. So this is a huge gamble." He lost. Fatso is dead. He won. Fatso obtained a great opportunity and was reborn. At that time, he will definitely undergo an earth-shaking change. The inner demon said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, No, it might be the heart or the eyes that will steal his lifespan. This is too risky. Let me out and I will think about it. The inner demons said angrily, "Why are you so indecisive?" "It's not indecisiveness, it's responsibility. Fatso has been with me for so many years and is loyal. I have to do my best to ensure his safety," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. The inner demons said helplessly, "Okay, but remember to let me out more often in the future. As long as you don't mess around, I will definitely let you out more often," Qin Feiyang said. "Deal." The inner demons quickly returned to the inner world. The consciousness of Qin Feiyang's original body also disappeared from his inner world. Outside, Qin Feiyang's appearance also began to change. The blood tide in his eyes and skin quickly receded, and the hostility and evil aura all over his body also disappeared. But his old face didn't change much. After all, his lifespan was stolen and couldn't be recovered in a short time. Noticing the change in Qin Feiyang, everyone couldn't help but look at him in surprise. Qin Feiyang touched his nose and said, "What's wrong?" Fatso said suspiciously, "Boss, Are you hiding something from us? What can I hide from you? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Really? Fatso frowned. No matter how he looked at it, something was wrong. Really? Qin Feiyang nodded with a helpless expression. Okay. Fatso looked at him suspiciously, looked at the heart and eyes, swallowed his saliva, and said, then I'll go. Wait. Qin Feiyang reached out to stop him and said, let me think about it. If the heart and eyes were really stealing the lifespan of living beings, then it wouldn't be easy to get close to them. He could try first. He turned to look at Yan Wei and Wu Yong, his eyes flashing slightly, and said, Wu Yong, try walking out of this barrier. What? Wu Yong's face turned pale. He was obviously using him as a lab rat. Don't worry, even if you want to die now, I won't let you die. However, if you don't listen, I'm afraid you'll die now. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Looking at Qin Feiyang's smile, Wu Yong couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He gritted his teeth and stepped out of the barrier. Buzz! The black mist spewed out of the eyes immediately rushed toward Wu Yong. Ah! Wu Yong immediately screamed in pain. He also aged in an instant. His hair turned white, and his body became as thin as a match. So terrifying. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He quickly reached out, grabbed Wu Yong's arm, and quickly pulled him back. So terrifying, that's basically two demons. Wu Yong, who returned to the barrier, immediately collapsed on the ground. He stared at the heart and eyes, his face full of horror. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other, and they were extremely shocked. In just an instant, Wu Yong turned from a middle-aged man to an old man. The level of danger here was countless times more terrifying than on the stone stairs. However, Qin Feiyang was finally able to confirm that it was the eye that plundered the life of living beings. Moreover, the snow on the Black Dragon Glacier turned black, and it was very likely that it was related to the eye or the heart. Looking at Wu Yong's miserable state, Fatso couldn't help but tremble, and said, Boss, you almost killed Fat Lord. I didn't ask you to go either. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him, looked at the eyes and heart, and muttered to himself. A moment later, he shook his head and sighed. He knew nothing about this heart and eye, so he really didn't know where to start. He raised his head and looked at Chang Shui and the castle. With a pleading tone, he asked, Can you help me seal them first? These two demons were too terrifying. They could only be left to be studied slowly in the future. Just as his voice fell, strands of black light emerged from the castle, wrapping around the heart and eye. Then, the black light rolled up the heart and eye, merged into the castle, and disappeared. At the same time, the light of the castle and Chang Shui dimmed. The enchantment around Qin Feiyang and the others also quickly disintegrated. Not good. Yan Wei's expression changed on the spot, and he hurriedly turned and ran down the stone stairs. Why are you running? The heart and eye are gone, so they definitely won't take your life. Fatso looked at him speechlessly. That's right. Yan Wei was stunned, stopped in his tracks, and a wry smile crawled up his face. This was really like the old saying, once bitten, twice shy. But where did they go? Yan Wei turned to look at Qin Feiyang, and asked in surprise, They can't be in your castle right now, right? Qin Feiyang frowned, and looked up at the simple and unadorned castle. Schwa! Suddenly, he grabbed Chang Shui, and with a flash, disappeared without a trace. Inside the castle, Lu Hong, the pangolin, and the black dragon snake had already woken up when Qin Feiyang stepped on the stone stairs. What happened outside? Seeing Qin Feiyang come in, they immediately surrounded him and asked in surprise. Let's talk later. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, and then looked around. What's going on? He glared at them, full of disbelief. The heart and eye were not in the castle. Then where did these two monsters go? Did they disappear into thin air? Did you see an eye and a black heart? Qin Feiyang hurriedly looked at Lu Hong and the pangolin, and asked. No. Lu Hong shook her head. No. Qin Feiyang was petrified on the spot. The eye and heart that he had spent a lot of effort to get were actually gone. He carefully searched through the castle again, even including the metal box of the 6-word divine formula. However, he still couldn't find the eyes and the heart. Where are they? He frowned, left the castle, and summoned the castle again. The palm-sized castle did not have the shadow of the eye and the heart at all. What's wrong? Fatso and the others looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang's mind moved, and the castle flew into his forehead. Then, he weakly dropped his arm, looked at Fatso and the others, and said, the eye and the heart are gone. Gone? How is this possible? Don't joke. Fatso, Wolf King, and the double-winged snow eagle directly rolled their eyes at Qin Feiyang. Do I look like I'm joking? The castle is only so big, if it's inside, how can I not see it? It's really not there. Qin Feiyang said. This, Fatso's face stiffened, and hurriedly said, quick, take us in to see. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and led everyone into the castle. Glancing at the castle, everyone froze. There really was nothing. Fatso muttered, does this mean that we've been busy for the past few days for nothing? Qin Feiyang nodded. Although he didn't want to admit it, it was the truth. Isn't this a bit too strange? Everyone looked at each other. They clearly saw that the eye and the heart entered the castle, but why were they gone? What was the meaning of this castle? Why did it make the eye and the heart disappear? Where are they now? Sigh. There's a good saying, others can't take away what's yours, and you can't force what's not yours. Maybe it's because we're not fated with the heart and the eye. Yen Wei sighed. Fatso shook his head, no, it must be the castle's doing. Qin Feiyang also felt the same. Two living things couldn't just disappear from the world like this. Do you think it's because little Qin Zi said he was going to abandon it just now, and that made it angry? Wolf King suddenly said. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. If that was the case, then the castle was too petty. Besides, the person who wanted to abandon the castle and Cheng Shui just now was not him. Forget it, let's just treat it as a dream. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly, and then led everyone to the top of the mountain. In the sky, heavy snow was falling, and the cold wind was biting. As soon as Qin Feiyang and the others appeared, they found that the Black Dragon Glacier was different. The falling snowflakes didn't turn black anymore. Chapter 822. It was obvious that the abnormality of the Black Dragon Glacier was indeed related to the heart and the eye. Yen Wei looked at the changes in the glacier and suddenly thought of something. He said in surprise, the Black Dragon Glacier has returned to normal. Will the mysterious force of the Black Plain also disappear? Everyone was stunned. Fatso hurriedly said, let's go and take a look. If it had really disappeared, then they could leave the Black Dragon Glacier immediately. No need. But at this time, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled, taking out a portal. Seeing this, everyone's face had a trace of suspicion. But then, they understood. If the mysterious force of the Black Plain had disappeared, then they could definitely open the portal now. On the contrary, if they could not open the portal, the mysterious force would still be there. Buzz. As Qin Feiyang waved his hand, the portal suddenly expanded with the wind, blooming with a bright light. We can leave. Everyone was ecstatic. Boom. However, at this time, an invisible pressure rolled over from afar. Before Qin Feiyang and the others could react, the portal was smashed into pieces by the momentum. Then, the pressure imprisoned Qin Feiyang and the others in the void. Who is it? The group was shocked. Swish. The next moment, two figures landed on top of everyone's head like lightning. They were two old men. One of them was wearing a purple robe. He had a ruddy face and white hair. His eyes were full of spirit. His old body was very healthy. The other person had white hair and a white beard. He wore a snow-white robe that was spotless and looked like an immortal. Strong. Looking at these two people, Qin Feiyang and the other's pupils shrank, full of fear. Moreover, the pressure that imprisoned them came from the old man in white. Qin Feiyang lowered his posture and said respectfully, "Greetings to the two seniors." The old man in white slightly restrained his pressure and said with a smile, "Little guy, you are very capable." Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He asked suspiciously, "Senior, why do you say that? No one has ever successfully reached the top of this mountain. You are the first." The white-clothed old man said. Qin Feiyang furrowed his brows and said, "Senior, you flatter me. It's just that this junior's luck is good." "Good luck? Little fellow, don't try to be smart. We all saw your ancient castle and dagger." The white-clothed old man chuckled. "See?" Qin Feiyang was secretly shocked. Could it be that these two had already arrived at the Black Dragon Glacier? Without batting an eyelid, he asked, "Seniors, may I ask when you came here?" When, the purple-clothed old man and the white-clothed old man looked at each other and seemed to be lost in their memories. A moment later, the white-clothed old man sighed deeply and said, "If this old man remembers correctly, the first time I entered this place should have been 10,000 years ago." "What?" The expressions of Qin Feiyang and the others changed drastically. 10,000 years ago. Wasn't this a little too shocking? If he wasn't lying, then the two people in front of him were living fossils. Impossible. Suddenly, Yan Wei shook his head and looked at the two of them. "I have been here for half a year and have been to every place. If you have been here all this time, why haven't I seen you?" "You?" The purple-clothed old man opened his mouth and said disdainfully, "With your little strength, even if we were standing behind you, you wouldn't be able to find us." Qin Feiyang's pupils constricted. If it were someone else who said this, he would definitely laugh at them and say that they were putting on an act. But these two people were antiques from 10,000 years ago. It wasn't hard to imagine how strong they were. The white-clothed old man looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Little fellow, do you want to live?" It was very kind and amiable. But hearing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. He nodded and said, "Yes. That's not difficult. As long as you give us the demon dragon's heart and demon dragon's eye, as well as your ancient castle and dagger, we will let you go." The white-clothed old man smiled. As expected, Qin Feiyang's eyes sank slightly. He guessed that these two people were preparing to kill him and rob him. But what are the demon dragon's heart and demon dragon's eye? Are they the missing heart and eye? I'll give you 5 breaths of time to consider. Don't even think about escaping. Under my majesty, you won't have any chance." The white-clothed old man said with a smile, looking harmless to both humans and animals. Qin Feiyang never denied this point. This person only needed to slightly increase his pressure and they definitely wouldn't be able to move. But to ask him to hand over Chang Shui and the ancient castle, he definitely couldn't do it. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and said, "Can you first tell me what the demon dragon's heart and demon dragon's eye are?" The white-clothed old man said, "It's the heart and eye that you took away." Qin Feiyang nodded and asked again, "Then what's their use? What's their origin?" The white-clothed old man pondered for a while and said with a faint smile, "There's no harm in telling you. I believe you've all heard of the legend of the Black Dragon Glacier. And this legend can be said to be true, but it can also be said to be false. Because once, there was indeed a dragon that fell here. And this dragon was indeed a divine being. But it wasn't a black dragon, it was a demon dragon." The white-clothed old man said. It really was a divine being. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. This old man still remembers that when the demon dragon fell here, even though it was seriously injured, no one could defeat it. Even a 9-star combat emperor couldn't get close to it. In the end, it died here, leaving behind an eye and a heart. The white-clothed old man said. Hearing this secret, Qin Feiyang and the others' hearts were set off stormy waves. It was already seriously injured and on the verge of death, but it could still block a 9-star combat emperor. This demon dragon's strength was too terrifying. Fatso frowned and said, "How do you know so much?" Because back then, we were all present. And it wasn't just us, there were many overlords and ambitious people. Everyone wanted to snatch the eye and heart left behind by the demon dragon, so a bloody battle broke out. That battle was too tragic. Many people fell here, the sky darkened and the earth darkened, blood stained the sky. But in the end, we found that we couldn't get close to the demon dragon's heart and eye. This means that our fight is completely meaningless. The white-clothed old man said, his words carried a hint of resentment and anger towards the demon dragon. Serves you right. Fatso secretly sneered. Qin Feiyang said, in the end, only the two of you survived? Of course not. Although the two of us were very strong, we weren't able to kill everyone. At that time, only half of the people died, and the remaining people are now the overlords of the Forgotten Continent. The white-clothed old man said. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, then they all gave up. If they didn't give up, then why weren't those who survived that year here? Facing a relic left behind by a god, how could they give up? But they didn't dare to enter the Black Dragon Glacier. Because once they enter, they won't be able to leave. The white-clothed old man said, with a hint of mockery. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, do you have a way to leave? Of course. A while ago, I even made a trip out. The white-clothed old man nodded. Yen Wei was surprised and doubtful, what way? The white-clothed old man shook his head and smiled, I can't tell you that. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and said, so, the legend of the Black Dragon Glacier and the coordinates inside the Black Dragon Glacier were purposely spread by you guys? That's right. The reason we're doing this is to attract people to come here and see if anyone can reach the summit. The heavens don't disappoint those who work hard. After waiting for so many years, we've finally arrived. The white-clothed old man said, his old face filled with a bright smile. Have you waited? I don't think so. But suddenly, a cold voice came from afar. So. Following closely. A white figure streaked across the sky like lightning and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. How could it be you? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Fatso, Wolf King, and the winged snow eagle were also shocked. It was a beautiful woman, graceful, with black hair like a waterfall, and an unfathomable aura. Although her back was facing Qin Feiyang and the others, from her back and her voice, Qin Feiyang and the others could tell that it was the mysterious madam. But didn't this woman say that she had something to do and would leave for a few years? Why did she suddenly appear here? Who are you? At the same time, the purple-clothed old man and the white-clothed old man also looked at the mysterious madam suspiciously. Don't worry about who I am. In short, don't even think about getting the demon dragon's heart and demon dragon's eye. The mysterious madam smiled coldly. A monstrous aura rushed out from her body, and the pressure that imprisoned Qin Feiyang and the others instantly disappeared. Go quickly. The mysterious madam shouted without turning her head. Thank you. Qin Feiyang didn't act pretentiously. He hurriedly expressed his thanks, opened the teleportation door, and quickly ran in. Fatso, Wolf King, the winged snow eagle, Yen Wei, and even Wu Yong all rushed into the portal as if they were running for their lives. Go away. Seeing this, the two old men were anxious and shouted at the same time. Battle chi gushed out and turned into a torrent, rushing towards the portal. Swish! The mysterious madam flashed and landed in front of the portal. She raised her arm and slapped at the portal. Boom! Battle chi crazily surged and turned into a huge python, colliding with the two old men's battle chi. At this moment, the sun and moon lost their light, and the world lost its color. The glaciers below collapsed one by one, like the scene before the end of the world. The rumbling sound resounded through the sky. Puff! But at the same time, the mysterious madam's body trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was slightly pale. The two old men, on the other hand, were only forced back a step. But even so, the two of them couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Because the two of them worked together, but they could only cause light injuries to the other party. This was enough to show that this woman's strength was not weaker than theirs. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the others were sent away, and the portal also disappeared. Who exactly are you? We basically know all the strong people who have a bit of fame in the Forgotten Continent, but why have we never heard of you? Also, why do you help Qin Feiyang again and again, and at the same time frame him? The two old men's faces were extremely gloomy. I really didn't expect that high and mighty people like you would actually care about a Qin Feiyang. Actually, I'm also very curious. You tried so hard to lure Qin Feiyang to the Forgotten Continent. What are you planning to do? The mysterious madam said with a playful look in her eyes. The purple-robed old man's eyes turned cold, and said, "You have no right to interfere with our business." "Sorry, I just like to meddle in other people's business, especially your Mu family. Just you wait, I will find out about your conspiracy sooner or later." The mysterious madam sneered, and then turned into a ray of light, disappearing from the two old men's sight. "Damn it!" The purple-robed old man roared in anger. "What's the use of being angry now? Quickly go back and inform the clan to find out Qin Feiyang's whereabouts. The demon dragon's heart and demon dragon's eye must not be taken away by him." Chapter 823. Tianyang City. Outside the city, above the plains, a group of people appeared out of thin air, their faces full of fear. It was Qin Feiyang and the others. After appearing, the group of people hurriedly scanned their surroundings. After confirming that they were out of danger, they were completely relieved. The old man in white and the old man in purple were too terrifying. In front of them, they were simply like gods, invincible. "Look, it's Qin Feiyang." Suddenly, a cry of alarm sounded from below. At that moment, the people coming and going on the plains all stopped and raised their heads to look at Qin Feiyang and the others. Everyone's faces were filled with fear that couldn't be erased. "Quickly inform the city lord, Qin Feiyang is here." The guards guarding the city also immediately roared, as if they were facing a great enemy. Yan Wei glanced at those people, then at Tianyang City, looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "This is the third district?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Yan Wei lowered his head again, glanced at the crowd on the plains, and asked curiously, "Look at them, they seem to be very afraid of you?" Facing a demon who slaughtered all the creatures in the first and second districts, how can they not be afraid? Wu Yong sneered. After leaving the Black Dragon Glacier, his attitude also changed. "What? You actually did such a thing?" Yan Wei looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. Qin Feiyang glanced at Wu Yong and said indifferently, "The innocent knows that they are innocent, and the muddy knows that they are muddy. I don't want to explain. Your crime is already known to everyone, how do you want to explain?" Wu Yong sneered. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows, his eyes cold. "Do you think that you have the right to be presumptuous in front of me after leaving the Black Dragon Glacier?" Wu Yong raised the corner of his mouth, looked at Yan Wei and said, "Brother, I can see that you were forced by Qin Feiyang, and now that you have left the Black Dragon Glacier, you don't have to work for him anymore. You're courting death." Fatso, Wolf King, and the double-winged snow eagle's eyes shone with a cold light. This person was obviously instigating Yan Wei to betray them. "Don't worry." Qin Feiyang reached out to stop Fatso and the others, then turned to look at Yan Wei. He wanted to see what choice Yan Wei would make. As for Yan Wei, after hearing Wu Yong's words, he glanced at Qin Feiyang out of the corner of his eyes, then lowered his head and fell silent. He seemed to be hesitating. Brother Yen, I know what you're worried about. I'm afraid that people will say that you're ungrateful. Actually, there's no need to consider this at all. Qin Feiyang and his group have committed heinous crimes. Everyone has the right to punish them. So, if you can get rid of them now, the world will only praise you and worship you. Wu Yong continued to instigate. Wolf King's eyes were overflowing with killing intent. Little Qin Zi, this person must die. I know. Qin Feiyang responded. He had no intention of letting Wu Yong go. It was only because Wu Yong was an indispensable part of his plan that he had not killed him until now. Brother Yen, it's everyone's responsibility to punish evil and eliminate evil. Don't be stubborn. Seeing that Yen Wei had not made a decision, Wu Yong began to feel anxious. Because, if Yen Wei had not betrayed them, his current actions were enough for Qin Feiyang to kill him 1,000 times over. On the contrary, if Yen Wei had betrayed them, with Yen Wei's strength as an 8-star battle saint and himself as a 4-star battle saint, Qin Feiyang and his group would not be a threat at all. Swish. Yen Wei finally reacted. He raised his head and looked directly at Qin Feiyang, his eyes flickering. Suddenly, he raised his arm, his 5 fingers bent like an eagle's claw, and stretched out in the air. But his target was not Qin Feiyang. It was Wu Yong. Wu Yong did not expect that Yen Wei would suddenly attack him. He was unprepared. However, even if he was prepared, it was impossible for him to avoid it. After all, the difference in their cultivation levels was too great. Yen Wei grabbed Wu Yong's neck and said coldly, "What you think has nothing to do with me and I don't care. But if you want to drag me down with you, you have to pay the price." Don't, Wu Yong's expression changed. His face was full of panic. Yen Wei looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "As long as you nod, I'll end his life immediately." Wu Yong's face turned green on the spot. He shouted, "No, I beg you," Fatso joked, "weren't you very awesome just now? Continue, don't be a coward. Show your heroic spirit. I really know my mistake. I beg you, let me live." Wu Yong was about to cry. He thought that Yen Wei, as an 8-star battle saint, had pride and backbone and would not submit to Qin Feiyang. However, he did not expect the result to be so unexpected. Instead, he fell into a desperate situation. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and waved his hand, "Let him go first." Yen Wei nodded expressionlessly and released his fingers. Cough cough. Wu Yong knelt in the air, holding his throat and coughing continuously. His face was full of lingering fear. "Qin Feiyang, how dare you come back?" At this moment, accompanied by an angry shout, the mayor of Tianyang City rushed out of the city and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. However, when he saw Wu Yong and Yen Wei, a trace of surprise crept into his eyes. Although Wu Yong was the famous tower master of the 4th district, the mayor had never seen him before. As for Yen Wei, as the leader of a super tribe in the 8th district, he naturally did not know. However, the aura exuded by the two of them made him panic. He knew. The strength of the two of them was definitely far beyond his. "Although we haven't seen each other for a few days, you don't have to be so excited to see me." Qin Feiyang turned to look at the mayor and chuckled. Excited? The mayor's face darkened. Was he excited? How could he tell? Didn't you enter the Black Dragon Glacier? Why are you here? The mayor was puzzled. You also know? So, you also had a part in luring me to the Black Dragon Glacier? Qin Feiyang said with a dangerous look in his eyes. So what? I've already sent someone to inform the Tower Master. If you know what's good for you, you'd better surrender obediently. Otherwise, you won't have a good time. The mayor smiled coldly. Hee. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. The Tower Master you mentioned is already dead. As for you, I originally planned to let you go, but since you also had a part, you have to die. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. What? The Tower Master is dead? How is that possible? Hasn't he always been in the Pill Tower? The mayor was bewildered. Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned. You don't know that the Tower Master brought people to the Black Dragon Glacier to kill me? Impossible. The Black Dragon Glacier is so dangerous. Why would the Tower Master run to take the risk? Qin Feiyang sized up this person. It seemed that Wu Yong and the Tower Master of the Third Region were deliberately hiding this matter. However, he suddenly remembered something. When he killed the leaders of the Black Lion Tribe, Red Smoke Tribe, and Blue Sea Tribe, no one else was present. Although he had mentioned this matter to the guard commander of Tianyang City later on, the guard commander had also been silenced later on. But why did the high priests of the three tribes know it was him? Could it be that someone was hiding nearby when he killed the three leaders and the guard commander? This matter could be big or small. Why did he say that? Although someone tipped him off, the three high priests were already dead and he did not suffer any injuries, so he could not pursue the matter. But on the other hand, since this person ran to report the news, he definitely had the intention of killing him. As for people like him, Qin Feiyang had never been one to be lenient. Is what you said true? Did the Tower Master really go to the Black Dragon Glacier? The mayor was silent for a moment and asked, still unable to accept this fact. Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. He pointed at Wu Yong and said, Do you see him? He is the Tower Master of the Fourth Region. He also went to kill me, but I controlled him. The Tower Master of the Fourth Region. The mayor looked at Wu Yong and was extremely shocked. What kind of existence was the Tower Master of the Fourth Region? He was actually controlled by Qin Feiyang. This was too unbelievable. Let me ask you a question. Do you know who killed the leaders of the Black Lion Tribe, Red Smoke Tribe, and Blue Sea Tribe? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and asked without warning. Isn't it you? The mayor, who was in shock, did not think too much and instinctively replied. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light and said, Who told you? A hunter. When you killed the guard commander, he happened to be nearby and heard it with his own ears. The mayor said. But after he finished speaking, he suddenly quivered and said in shock, Why are you asking this? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, turned to look at Yan Wei, and said, You know what to do, right? Yan Wei nodded. Shua. He took a step forward and instantly landed in front of the mayor. Immediately, he picked up the city lord like he was picking up a chick, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared from the city. Qin Feiyang then looked at Fatso and Wolf King, and said, You guys also go to the three major tribes. What for? The winged snow eagle was stunned. You can't be so kind, of course it's to loot the treasure vault. Wolf King looked at it in shock. So it's like that. The winged snow eagle suddenly realized and said disdainfully, Of course I know, I just don't want to say it. TSK. Fatso gave it the middle finger on the spot. Qin Feiyang laughed, Go quickly, don't forget to take the alchemy fire with you. Understood. One man and two beasts shouted and swooped down. They landed in front of the city gate and looked for the city guards. After getting the coordinates of the three major tribes, they opened a portal and rushed in one after another. Looking at this scene, Wu Yong's expression was extremely interesting. Not only did they kill the leaders and high priest of the three major tribes, they also wanted to loot their treasure vault. These bastards were too rampant, simply lawless. Rampant? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, saying, Isn't this the way of the world now? The strong can wantonly trample on the weak, and the weak can only silently endure. For example, you guys treated the leaders as cannon fodder and let them enter the Black Dragon Glacier to chase after me. When both of us are injured, you guys can come in and reap the benefits. Wu Yong was shocked, and said, You can really see through my thoughts. Do you think I'm joking? Qin Feiyang looked at him disdainfully, and said, immediately contact the Tianxian city lord and ask him if the alchemy fire of the Pill Pagoda has been stolen. What do you mean? Wu Yong was stunned. Wasn't the person who wanted to steal the alchemy fire Qin Feiyang? And Qin Feiyang was right in front of him. How could the alchemy fire be stolen?